Mics are hot.
Good afternoon and welcome into the Horizon Basketball Tournament Preview Show presented by Ohio Health. I'm DC Daly. Alongside me tonight, John Bruce, Derek Webb, Brock Netter. We got a couple guys behind the camera here tonight. Should be a fun night tonight. We're going to go over the girls and boys tournament. We're going to have a couple coach calls. I believe two on the boys side, and I believe 3 on the girls side tonight. And without further ado, let's get things rolling. We'll start with the girls tournament. First round game you're looking forward to, John. You want to get things rolling for us tonight?
When you look at these tournament brackets, the first round isn't really the most pleasing to look at whenever you see, because there's a lot of high seeds against low seeds. But one of those situations that I like is Miami Trace at Jackson. Both games were decided by 3 points. Miami Trace has been playing very well the second half of the year. They had the coaching turnover at the beginning, kind of worked their way back into it. Jackson leads the FAC and has played well this season. But like I said before, both games were 3-point games. Third time coming around, which team is going to be able to win the season series?
That was a heck of a game. Brock and I got a chance to go to that second game at Jackson. Actually, I got a chance to go to the first game at Jackson. You could really say in either one of those, John, that either one of those teams could win either one of those games. I agree with you. I'm going to go, just for argument's sake, I'm going to go to Chillicothe at Waverly. I really like, first of all, the J.C. Harding versus Bailey Volgamore matchup at point guard. Both are just tremendous players. Both can facilitate. They can score. I mean, they can do pretty much anything you'd ask out of a point guard. So really looking forward to that kind of matchup into the matchup. And you got great players all across the court for each team. I know that obviously Chillicothe's had a kind of a tough run with Paige Huggins and that ACL injury she suffered, but you still got Avery Ursuline there to score. She can put the ball in the bucket. And then Waverly, with Sarah Thompson and Kelly Stewart down low, Ava Little can hit the three. Delaney Tackett can come out and hit the three, and just good players, good talent all across the floor. I'm kind of excited for that one.
Yeah, 100%. And just to piggyback off of John's point, Miami Trace Jackson FAC rivals. It's always been a close game, so there's no doubt that this one, that the third match is going to be a barn burner as well. Probably will go into overtime once again. Chillicothe Waverly, fantastic matchup, just athleticism across the board. So you guys highlighted 2 Division II matchups. I'm going to go into Division III on mine, and I'm going to go with Southeastern at Oak Hill. That's a game I will be covering. At Oak Hill. But both teams, they've had their offensive struggles, throughout the season. But when both teams have been able to put everything together, they can compete. They compete really hard. They both play defense exceptionally well. So you'll have a battle on the inside with Chloe Chambers from Oak Hill, Audrey Scott from Southeastern. On the outside you'll have Gabby Purnell from Southeastern, going up against Brooke Howard and Bailey Howe from Oak Hill. So in a way they're both similar teams just in how they play. They want to keep things slow. They want to pound the ball inside and then dish to the outside. So I don't look for it to be a high scoring game of anything. Probably first to 40 wins. But that matchup has a lot of intrigue for sure.
He says first to 40, and I think Ironton Minford in Division III as well. I know that we kind of picked each one for one of us picked a game, but I tell you what, Minford, first of all, in 3 or 4 years here, we're going to be looking at them as maybe SOC 2 favorites. That's how much talent they have on the floor at one point. And I believe I've seen them 2 or 3 times this year, and each time, at sometimes they've got 5 freshmen or sophomores on the floor at a single time. Lindsey Williams is really big there. Kennedy Davis rebounds the ball just as good as I've seen this year. And they've got some great perimeter play as well. I know Lexi Conkle's there, Maggie Reisner. They've got pieces around them that maybe Minford. You're looking at them as a draw, and I don't. If I'm an opponent, I don't want to play Minford at all. And I know Ironton's got some talent as well, but I feel like Minford plays a really good schedule. Heck, they played Wheelersburg twice, who's the top ranked team in the state Division III for a couple weeks running here. So I really think that could be a good matchup as well. And hey, I'm just happy that tournament basketball is a thing. I mean,
that's very true. Yeah.
When we look at we mentioned Division II, we mentioned Division III. Is there a game for you guys you think maybe in Division IV that that you're maybe keeping an eye on there? For me, that's Paint Valley and St. Joseph, Ironton St. Joe. Paint Valley has been so good this year in the SVC, outside of the SVC. Took Fairfield, who's state ranked at one point, to overtime. That to me is a really interesting matchup. I think you'd maybe have to give Paint Valley the edge there, but we're going to finally see this Paint Valley team get into a tournament sense and play even more big games, and they've shown up in big games all year this year.
Yeah. And Paint Valley has not played super well the last couple weeks, and I don't know if that may be some tired legs. They do really only play 5, sometimes 6 players on the court. So those kids have been, they're in great condition, but they have been playing all year a lot of minutes. So is that maybe a game where you throw in like a Mercedes Utz, free, just to throw in to get some more minutes for these kids that are going to be big players from next year, because they have an excellent JV team. They just haven't got a lot of time in the varsity games. And as a 5-12 matchup, which we know in the NCAA tournament, not the best matchup to have. You don't necessarily want to be the 5 seed. That may be a game where they can get some of those kids in and see what they can do before they take on likely a South Webster in what would be a district semifinal. Now, for you guys, what do you guys think about these teams having to go on the road? Because for years in the Southeast District, we had like centralized locations for the sectionals. So for boys, you think of Waverly as a place that you've always played. Division II was Southeastern. For the girls and boys, after last year with the COVID year where we started to go on the road, how big of an advantage is that for the higher seeds in some of these games? And especially because, looking at some of these trips that schools have to make, I believe in boys it was like Marietta at McLean. Like
that's good.
Like
God.
Those two teams don't play for a reason during the season because they're 2.5 hours away. So how big of an advantage do you guys think that is for the home teams?
I think it's a huge advantage, most definitely. Not just for home court advantage, but also knowing that your opponent made that long road trip. So therefore, taking those long bus trips, you always want to get off the bus, with a lot of energy, focus and all the things like that. But when you have just that big, long 2-hour trip, it takes a lot out of you. So not to mention when you go on road trips, sometimes you just tend to fall asleep. And you never
literally on the bus.
Yeah, literally on the bus. You fall asleep, and sometimes you never wake up during the course of the game. Or if you do, sometimes it can be just a little bit too late. So, in that instance, for Marietta and McLean, that's a huge advantage. Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, and you look at student sections, kind of pop out into my mind. That's what I went to Chillicothe, and when I graduated, I wasn't on the basketball team. Trust me, but
I've seen you play.
Right, exactly. But I got to watch the Humpty Hitchens, the Ray Champ. I got to watch that show when they won that state title. We felt like we were a part of
100%.
that team because we were in the student section. Without student sections, those trips are nothing. I mean, they're just kind of played a neutral gym. So they've got to show up and show out for their teams too.
Well, last year when, as a coach for Unionota, when we went up to Logan Elm last year in the district semifinal, that normally is a horrendous place to play on the road. It was just like we were just playing because they allowed more fans in, but not like typical. So
not like it has been this year, where everything's kind of getting back to normal.
Yeah, and if you really look at, and I'm big with the SVC, obviously, if you really look at the games played on the road in the SVC, the home court advantage has been a huge deal this year. And like you guys mentioned, student sections, the long bus rides, it's definitely a different monster.
And that'll bring us to our second topic tonight. That's who's on upset alert. I'll start it off for us here. I have 21 ranked Portsmouth over number 12 Huntington, and I was looking when I was trying to figure out who I was going to have as my upset alert, because honestly, it's not. You want to predict something that has a chance of happening, but not something that's like too likely, I guess. And that's kind of a hard thing to find. And I felt like 21-12 was a big enough gap to consider it, an upset. And Portsmouth, they play in the OVC. They're playing teams like Fairland, Dawson Bryant, Catholic Central, Rock Hill. And, I just didn't feel like, I believe their 10-10 record didn't really, represent how good they were compared to, teams around, the SVC, FAC, whatever. Obviously Huntington, Allison Basie, I believe, committed to Northern Kentucky, averaging 28.6 per game, but that's 51.7 of her team's points. That's over 50% of the team's average points. So
that doesn't include the rebounding, though.
Right. I believe I didn't put it down, but I believe the rebounding was like 12.5 rebounds a game.
Up to 12.7.
There you go.
So
not a bad. I mean, that's it's not.
No, not bad. 20-12. You can count on that every single night. That's delightful.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned them, because on my upset alert, I have Adina, the SVC champions. They'll likely, if Huntington can avoid the upset in the first round that Dewey mentioned, likely match up with Allison Basie and Huntington for the third time and second time within 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's not a fun matchup, doing it twice over the course of the season, let alone doing it twice in 2 weeks. So I think, if Basie and the Hunts ladies,
what are your favorites?
I'm not big on the lady whatever, but
Huntsman.
their Lady Huntsman doesn't make sense to me. So Hunts ladies, we'll go with.
We talk about Jackson. It's not the Lady Ironmen. It's
right.
Yeah,
or the Iron Ladies.
Yeah, they are the Iron Ladies.
We're getting way off topic.
Yeah, it's a with Basie scoring 28.6 points a game. Her teammates
Coach,
really came along nicely.
Yeah, I got you.
McKenna Thompson has been outstanding for them.
We're on the air right now. Just stand by.
Sophomore point guard's done a really good job coming along for them. And I think that, they're a team that definitely has a chance to make a little run.
And, John, I'm going to stop you right there. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to have Coach Matt Walburn of the Jackson Iron Ladies. We'll be back after this.
This presentation of Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health, is brought to you by North Fork Animal Clinic, Haller Funeral Home, Schmidt Family Restaurant Group, Ohio Valley Bank, Shane Meyer State Farm Insurance, Neil Coleman Insurance, Homeland Credit Union, Bo Lacey Construction, Roman Family Healthcare, Haynes Total Healthcare Center, Terrell Farrow ERA Martin, Willie & Son Trucking, Glockner Family of Dealerships, Megan Carroll State Farm Insurance, Longhorn Steakhouse, Ohio Health, and Horizon.
Hey, it's Mike Glockner from the Glockner Family of Dealerships. With all the traveling that you're going to be doing this holiday season, we made servicing your vehicles as easy as possible. With our new online scheduling tool, you can schedule your oil change in less than 60 seconds. Visit Glockner.com, select Schedule Service, select the services that you need, and pick your arrival time. We'll even send you a text reminder. It's that simple. Have a great season.
This broadcast is brought to you in part by Willie & Son Trucking. Willie & Son Trucking has been a proud supporter of local student athletes, coaches, and athletic programs throughout its history. Be sure to look out for the Shak Athlete of the Week, presented by Willie & Son Trucking, each week at SOSAOhio.com.
This is big. Horizon's fiber internet is ready. Let them get you hooked up and power your Wi-Fi network with the speed and reliability that only a 100% fiber network can do. Horizon is ready to help you do what you do better, with real people, a reliable connection, and great customer service. Sign up today for as low as $40.95 a month, plus no contracts and no data caps.
You get paid extra.
Back.
And welcome back to the Horizon Basketball Tournament Preview Show presented by Ohio Health. I believe we have Coach... I forget his name already. I was just looking at Coach Matt Walburn. Sorry about that, Coach. How you doing tonight?
Good, guys. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I don't know how the rest of us are doing, but I'm guessing we're all doing good. Coach, you know your seed, you know your opponent, going to match up with Miami Trace for the third time this season. You know, overall, how do you feel about that?
We're excited about it. We were happy to get the 5 seed. We 2 tough matchups with Miami Trace in the regular season. We lost by 3 at their place and beat them time at our place. Like Brock said earlier, it could go either way. Probably might go overtime again, but we're excited about getting to it, and we'll see what happens coming.
So, Coach, this is Jumpers. How are you doing tonight?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. When you talk about playing a team for the third time, how much film study do you go into on that, especially with a younger team? Now, I know Caitlin is dynamic as your point guard, but for the younger kids, how do you get them to really focus on the importance of like a film study or being able to figure out what they need to take care of this third time around?
I'm pretty fortunate with this group because that sophomore group I have, they like the moment. They enjoy playing the game. They're competitive. It makes my job a lot easier. Those guys have been playing basketball for a long time, but a kid like Caitlin, she's like you said, I've said from the very beginning, I said to Brock at the very beginning of the year, we go as Caitlin goes, and it's not hard really. I mean, I'm very fortunate. They love the moment. They love the excitement of the game and the competitive part of it. I guess the one good thing about this game is we split with them, so it's always hard to beat a team 3 times. So at least we're 1-1 going against them, and we'll see what happens. So right now, for us, I don't want to say unfortunately. Fortunately for us, we're all of our focus is on Tuesday night because we got a big fact game against Chillicothe over Chile. It's kind of hard. You're trying to practice, and all your practice and stuff's going into Chillicothe Tuesday night, and then you got to turn around and no matter what happens in that game, you got to figure out how to get focused and kind of get yourself back into the thoughts of a sectional game against Trace at home on Monday night. So it's a little different for us this year. We've not been in this situation for quite some time. We're lucky to be able to say that we've at least won a share of the FAC title this year and have a chance to win it outright Tuesday night over against a really, really good Chillicothe team and what I consider probably one of the best coach teams in our league with Anthony coaching those guys. What he's done with them from last year to this year is pretty good stuff. So it's difficult because, we went in and practiced today and all we talked about was Chillicothe. We haven't even brought up Trace, but coaching staff, you're like, well, we got to work on Chillicothe, but a lot of our mindset's also on Trace come Monday night. So it's a little difficult situation that we're not used to, but we'll be ready and we're excited about the opportunity.
Coach, it's Derek here. I know that you have the entire team posted up at La Rosa's watching this show, right?
No. That's a good idea, though.
Absolutely.
One thing I want to say to you and Brock real quick, and I don't know about John and the other gentleman, but Who Day, right?
Who Day.
Yes, sir.
That is correct.
Not only am I preparing for some big games, I'm preparing for next Sunday for a Super
mentally and physically, right? I mean, me and you both.
Yes.
Hey,
it's kind of unfortunate our tournament game's the day after the Super Bowl. I don't know if I'll be ready or not.
I'll be right there with you, man.
I got you.
Hey, I got to ask about this kid named Matt Walburn. Brock always tells me, Matt Walburn, and he'll tell you, and he's tweeted it. He's probably told you she has never seen a mid-range shot she doesn't like. Usually Maddie's knocking those shots down, though. First of all, as a coach, I mean, what do you feel like Maddie's done so much to improve so much from last year to this year? And as a dad, how cool is that to see, her develop not only as a basketball player but as a teammate right in front of your eyes?
Yeah, man, it's pretty fun. Probably as a basketball player from last year to this year, she's gotten a lot stronger. not just her, but all that whole sophomore class. We spent a ton of time in the off season in the weight room. That is, that's one thing that her and I guess dad and daughter talked about, that, what do we got to do to improve? And a big thing for her was, speed is number one, and number two was strength. And we're getting there. We spent countless hours on that mid-range jumper that Brock talks about. So, I guess it goes back to her dad. They've always said, there wasn't a shot I didn't like as soon as I stepped off the bus. Maybe she's got a little bit of me in her, but yeah, just that, and coaching as a father-daughter combination. I was able to coach my oldest daughter as well. Her junior and senior year, but mainly her senior year. But it's not easy. I can promise you that. I probably, a lot of the credit goes to my wife, because she's got to put up with a lot of it. We try to leave it at the high school, but sometimes it overflows to our house here at home, and it becomes difficult sometimes. But it's fun. I mean, I'm blessed and lucky to be able to coach her, and also the group that she plays with. That group of sophomores, they've played together ever since they were in fourth grade, and we've been a part of that. Me and Chad Carpenter helps me. We've always kind of coached that group of kids. But anything for me, anything is probably the seniors that I'm dealing with Caitlin and Olivia, who, their first couple of years in our program, it was tough. They won 2 games one year and 3 the next, and for them to be able to say that they're going to be able to put their year on a banner this year for a league title, that's probably the best part of the season so far for me.
Well, Coach, it's Brock here. So
Brock, what's up?
Not a whole lot. Kind of just to piggyback, Derek, off your point. Matt was a 1,000 point scorer at Jackson as well.
Really?
So, yeah, he scored 1,005 points. So just eclipsed it. But hey, his name's on the banner as well. So Maddie's could be as well.
Man, we must have played some bad defenses back then.
Hey, as long as the ball goes in, doesn't matter.
I guess that's right.
You guys have a chance, to win the outright title. On Tuesday against Chillicothe. I'll be there. For that matchup. Kind of just heading into that game. Is there a certain message that you deliver to your team, being that you guys haven't been, in this position to be outright conference champions? I believe it would be for the first time, since 2014. Is there a certain message or a certain way that you kind of just prepare for this one going into it?
Man, it probably goes back to the beginning of the year. every year we coach and every year we go through this, we kind of, in my program, and of course I can't speak for anybody else's program, but we played the season for a league title. That's our goal. We want to win a league championship, and we play our non-league schedule to get us ready for the tournament. We talk about it every year. The season's kind of, we play for our seniors, because those are the guys that, have been there since day one as freshmen, and whether they played JV as freshmen and sophomores, or they played varsity from their freshman year on, they've kind of went through it. And especially this year, we talked about, last year we were, we won 10 games. We were pretty happy with that, with, playing 4 freshmen a lot, and with Caitlin being a junior and some kids coming off the bench. But this year we thought we had a chance to compete, getting a year under those guys' belt. And so, yeah, probably the biggest thing we talked about, after we beat Hillsboro at home, we went to the locker room and said, hey, we're not even close to being done, but we're one step closer to winning that league championship for our seniors. So I guess we put a lot into that. Again, maybe that's just something unique for us, that, those younger kids, they have a chance one of these days to be seniors and go through all that. But so, yeah, probably that. So, when Hillsboro beat Chillicothe, and that gave us a chance to clinch a league title, it was a fun day the next day at practice. But the nice thing about that practice was, they looked at me and said, Coach, we're not interested in sharing the title. We want to win it outright. So that's nice to have that kind of attitude in practice. So probably the biggest thing would be just having that opportunity to win it for our seniors, and something that, they can come back to that gym 10 years from now and see their year up on that banner, and that'll be pretty fun for them.
Yeah, it's good to be selfish sometimes.
Right. Coach, if you and Maddie went, one-on-one, who wins that matchup? Could any of your players take you one-on-one?
Hey, boys, I'm fat and out of shape. To answer the first part of that question, and I know she's listening probably in the other room, but Maddie has yet to beat me one-on-one. But I will also say I've only played her once.
Okay.
So I'm 1-0, and she's asked other times to play, and I either got a bad hammy or my back hurts or something like that. So I'm gonna hold my 1-0 record for a while, as long as I can.
You can be undefeated forever. I like that.
Yeah, and I don't know that there's really out of that group that. They're a special group. They're fun, great kids. I don't know that I would probably challenge any of them right now. That's just because I'm not ready for that. I'm not quite in shape to do that anymore.
Unfortunately, Coach, that's really all the time we have for you tonight. We appreciate you calling in, and good luck. I believe you said your next game is against Chillicothe, and obviously we already talked about Miami Trace in the tournament, so. Yep. Good luck against Chillicothe, and good luck in the tournament.
All right, guys. I sure appreciate what you do and all you do for our program. So thanks so much for that.
Yep. Thank you, Matt. We appreciate it.
No problem. We'll see you Tuesday.
And, all right, man. Talk to you guys later.
Yep.
See you.
And right before we went to commercial break, we started talking about upset alerts. I already gave mine, which is Portsmouth and Huntington. Bruce, I know you were kind of talking. I don't even remember what you said. I don't know if you were.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, okay,
I was talking about Adina being an upset alert, and that's where I decided to talk about the Hunts ladies.
Yeah. Okay. I remember.
Yeah.
Where we left.
So, just going back to that, I think with Adina. I don't want to put them I don't want to push them off to the side, because they are outstanding. They have Emma Garrison, that kid can play. I watched her multiple times this year. Watching her against Uniota at Uniota, it seemed like they couldn't get anything going, and then Emma just went and got a bucket, hit a three. Hits another three, gets a steal, just makes things happen. Then you throw in the lovely sisters, Michaela and McKenna. McKenna does a good job facilitating. Michaela's starting to score a little bit more. Sydney Fogelsong, Cheyenne Ader, those two inside, they kind of sub in and out for each other. But, man, those two really attack the boards. It's a team that is very good. They've played really well this year. They got off didn't look great in some of the early going, but, man, they've really gotten going. They beat a really good Eastern Brown team. I feel like they were probably a little underseeded. Adina was. And maybe Huntington was as well. So it's a really tough draw for them. And then, as Dewey said, with Portsmouth, that's a good team. So, I mean, it's not an easy draw for Adina, so I do think they need to be ready.
You talked about Emma Garrison. I think we can all agree here we've seen the SEC one of at least 3 SEC Player of the Year favorites. Those are my favorite conversations, right? Yep. But she's got to be up near the top of that list. I'd probably put Olivia Smith up there with her from Paint Valley, and obviously Allison Basie from Huntington. But she's got to be in that top 3. I mean, you were going to say I can't forget about Basie. Right?
Well, no, I was going to say you can't break the county. Has she broken the county rebounding record?
Yes.
I was going to say you can't break the county rebounding record and not be up, in a conversation about it. So.
And we've got a lot of great players. We're lucky to be able to, to cover those 3 players.
And over on SVCSportsTalk.com.
Oh yeah.
Might be ran really well by me. Have the 1,000-point scorer page, and you can follow Allison Basie on there, and you can see the hilarious separation between the top 4 and what was 5th before Allison stepped in. Allison now over 2,000 career points. But it was like 4 players over 2,200 points, highlighted by Ella Skeens, who's now destroying everybody down at Rio Grande.
Had 40 and 11 the other night.
Yeah, not bad. So, there was 4 players over 2,200 points, and then you had 5th now is Basie, but 5th was, at 1,800 points. So there's such a huge difference, and she's got to obviously team winning is a big goal, but like that's outside chance, with some big games.
22-35 for Ellis Skeens, correct? I think it is.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
Something along there. Now I'm going to look it up on svcsportstalk.com.
Shameless plug. Speaking of Southeastern, which is Ella's Miss Skeens' alma mater, Brock, you talked about a game earlier today. We're going to stay on the upset alert. I know you cover Oak Hill, and I'm going to go with Oak Hill, a number 13 versus a number 20 Southeastern team there. Here's why. Chloe Chambers, obviously, starts out. I mean, she's the Oak Hill Oaks or Lady Oaks go as Chloe Chambers plays.
Mm-hmm.
I know Bailey Howe's out there. She can hit 3 after 3 after 3. I know Brooke Howard can play. They've got great role players. They've got a great coach. But Chloe Chambers is going to face two kids that can rebound the heck out of the basketball that night, and that's an Audrey Scott and Alexis Bales. A lot of nights when Southeastern sends their statistics in, which we very much appreciate, by the way. Audrey and Alexis are right up there with a double-double, or they're close to a double-double, or one's got a double-double, and the next one has 12 and 7, or 9 and 13.
Yeah,
they're constantly around the basketball. So Chloe's going to have her work cut out for her. Then you look past Audrey and Alexis. You've got Gabby Purnell, who you have to cover. You've got Morgan Ware, who you have to cover. You've got Reagan Ruby. You've got Grace Wireman. I mean, the Southeastern's a very well coached basketball team. And I know Doug Heiss is probably, if he's somewhere watching, stop talking about it. Stop talking about it. But Southeastern has the talent and they have the size, which that's the key for me in this upset. That would be that's why I'm putting Oak Hill on an upset alert. They have the size to compete with Oak Hill, and I don't care where it is.
Yeah, very true, very true. So for my upset alert, I'm going to stay in the SEC, but I'm going to go to like the losing side of the SEC. You have an SEC team pulling off an upset.
Sure.
I have one losing, which would be Unioda. I'm putting them on upset alert against Hillsboro. There's just something about Hillsboro. They just make things tough. They're just a very physical, a very grinded out team. There's nothing flashy about their game. There's nothing that makes you look at this team and say, oh well, I need to see them. They just play just a very physical style of basketball, and they play just such gritty defense. And I think it can give Union a lot of problems. Gracie Dean leads that team, whether it's her scoring, whether it's her just facilitating. So she is the be all end all for Hillsboro. But then you have Riley Scott on the outside who can hit shots. You have Bryn Bledsoe who can also hit shots. So they're just a very physical team. It doesn't matter if you catch them on the road, if they're at home. They just know how to. They just play their game.
Scrappy.
They force you to adjust their game. They're scrappy. And so in Union, they've had games at times where they've had really slow starts and they haven't been able to come out of it until very late. And for all we know, that could happen in this game, and it might be too late for them to come out of it. So I'm putting Union on upset alert against Hillsboro.
Well, and I think Gracie Dean's a huge part of that. If I don't know if you guys have seen Hillsboro's girls play, but I tell you what, Gracie Dean's maybe one of the most underrated players in our area.
Tough.
Yeah, we call that gritty, not pretty. With
Fair
that stuff, because like you said, it's not the greatest on the eyes to watch that style of basketball, but it wins you games.
Exactly.
And for Unioto, they don't love the overly physical teams. So that's where this could be an interesting matchup because, while Union has some really good guard play, it doesn't love the physicality of it. Now, if they can get going shooting-wise early, that could put Hillsboro in some rough situations to try to score to come back, because I know that's one place Hillsboro struggled this year. But like you guys mentioned, they're going to play a really physical, tough style, and that's going to be a really interesting game.
And, we're sitting here talking about Unioto and Hillsboro. I'm going to go ahead and keep it in the same game, but we're going to move topics over to who you think will have the biggest impact on their team's tournament run. Obviously, Unioto, you have Avery Miller. I'm going to go with Amaris Betts as my impact player. 12.5 points per game. I believe Avery Miller is around 14.1 or 2. I can't remember off the top of my head. 40% from beyond the arc, leads the SVC, and 40 made three-pointers on the season. She's had 5 games over 20 points, but she's also had a handful of games under 10. You talked about Unioto coming out with a slow start, Brock, and, John, you said they don't like a whole lot of contact. I believe against Adina the first time around, I think Betts had like 5 or 6, like perfect 5 for 6 from the field or from beyond the arc. So, I think with Miller, you're going to get what you're going to get. I think it's a little more I don't want to sound disrespectful when I say it, but a little more consistently there. I think if Betts is able to string together a couple games with, 3-4 threes made and, at or above her average, I think we could take Unioda off the upset alert against Hillsborough. And maybe even, beyond the tournaments, they'd come in as a 6th seed.
Yeah, you mentioned Betts, and that's where she makes life easier for Avery Miller. Because if she's knocking down shots, well, you can't help off as much. So for Avery Miller, a lot of her game comes from driving to the basket, getting to the mid-range. While she can still knock down a three, she's dynamic whenever she's going off the dribble. Well, if you don't have the outside shooter, you can close in on it a little bit. And, if Betts gets going, she did, I believe it wasn't really last week because we had all the snow and everything.
Right.
The week before, she had 3 really good games and was starting to knock down her shots again, and that's huge for Unioda moving forward. If they're wanting to make a little run or even a big run, they need Amaris Betts to be big, and I completely agree with you on this.
You mentioned Unioda making a run. If they do go on a run, first of all, maybe not the most favorable tournament draw as we can, Hillsborough first, as you said. Then they're going to have to, if the seeds play out, they'd have to beat Warren and then a Fairfield Union team. We haven't touched on Fairfield Union just yet. They're the 2 in that bracket. But I tell you what, Fairfield Union can play basketball. They play in one of the toughest conferences in our coverage area, if not the toughest to play. You've got the seniors. But you've got Claire Cooprider, Nicole Terry, Ellie Lewis. Hannah Rauch, who just, I think it was Hannah that broke the...
Hannah broke the steals record, I believe, 127.
So Unioda really, by all accounts, you talk about Amaris Betts, she's going to have to shoot for them to win and compete, especially in Division II. So, I guess I maybe have picked the most obvious player to have a biggest impact on their team. It's pretty cut and dry for me, though. The question is, name one player that will have the biggest impact on their team's tournament run. It's Huntington's Allison Basie. I know it's, kind of like a duh moment, but that's just the facts.
Yeah, true.
You talked about Allison, 5th leading scorer in SVC history. We don't have another player like that in our coverage area this year. So when you look at the way that she scores the basketball, and then how she makes teammates around her better, I talked to Coach Kyle Urig this past week actually, and he said she can score. She's always been able to score. But what we're most impressed with and what we're most happy with is the way that she's become a better teammate, a better player off the ball, how she makes others around her better. And you're seeing that with, McKenna Thompson, has been really good for them this year. Allie Baker's come on late. Carly Dyer, nobody ever talks about Carly Dyer a lot because Allison Basie's playing. But Carly's a very, very solid basketball player. Heck, she's a 3-sport athlete, and she's good at all 3. So when you start looking at what player is going to have the biggest impact, to me, it's got to be Allison Basie.
Now, when you talk about Allison Basie, obviously she leads Huntington in scoring. She leads them in rebounding. Yeah, you're welcome. She also leads them in assists, steals, blocks. Obviously in free throws taken, but free throw percentage, 3-pointers made, 3-point percentage. She's second on their team in field goal percentage, but she leads them in literally everything. So she does have a hand in everything they do. Now, you mentioned a lot of those players that are coming along doing a nice job. Allie Baker had a really big week the last week.
She did.
Coming along as a freshman, doing a really good job for them. Carly Dyer finally being healthy, I think, is a impact player for them. Now, for me, going back to Coach Walburn with his team, my player that had the biggest impact on the tournament run was Caitlin Webb of Jackson. The point guard, she's not the tallest.
She's 5 feet.
Yes.
On a good day.
Yes. But, if you see someone who's 5 foot tall, you wouldn't think she's as good of a rebounder as she is. She is a dynamic rebounder. She gets involved in all kinds of plays because how active she can be. And she runs the show for them, gets them in really good positioning, scoring-wise, does a good job scoring the ball herself. She's a good shooter. Hit a big shot, I believe that was to beat Chillicothe the first time.
Right.
Yep.
Hit a big shot to beat Chillicothe. I watched her against Unioda and just completely dominate the game from the point guard position because she can be so active on the defensive end. If Unia was bringing down a rebound, and they brought it down too low. She's getting her hands on it. Might be a jump ball. She might just rip it out. Just an outstanding overall player and leader. As Coach Walburn said, they have 4 sophomores that play a big role for them. She's the one senior that really, facilitates things for them. And if they're going to beat Miami Trace and then pull an upset over Benton County, they need her to be really good. And I think she's a skilled enough player and gritty enough player to be able to do that for them.
I don't want to get off topic too much, but if we keep saying
yes,
Jackson, Miami Trace. Miami Trace isn't a bad basketball team.
No, they're a really good team. They shoot the 3 really well. Here's the thing, in both games that they have played Jackson, they've hit 5 threes and 4 threes in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So therefore, they can shoot the lights out.
Mm-hmm. And had it not been, and Coach Walburn, I think would agree with this, had it not been for a charge call.
Yeah.
At the end of the game, Kaylin Pfeiffer from Miami Trace hits the game winner, gets called for the charge. Miami Trace thought they won the game at Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that much of a close game. And then you look at Hillary Jacobs and Libby Elshire and Hillary McCoy and Jessie Stewart, who has one of the quickest releases I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Miami Trace can play basketball. So I don't think, as Coach said, for Jackson, we talk about a tough matchup. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's the toughest matchup in the first round we're going to find just because they have to play Chillicothe, like you said.
Yeah.
Then go and play Miami Trace.
Hey, I've got another thing to rant about. Why are they seated below Hillsborough? Beat them twice. I know they had more losses coming into the draw.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But, come on, coaches. You got to look at this thing. You got to look at the whole picture of the team. I've seen the bios that go out.
Uh-huh.
You put your stuff in. You beat who you say who you beat. You say
but do you think that has something to do with because everybody?
Because I guarantee they don't want to see Jackson would rather face. No offense to Hillsborough, would probably rather face Hillsborough as opposed to Miami Trace.
But do you think that has something to do? And I know that if you're watching out there and you don't know, coaches don't meet face to face.
Yes.
To seed teams.
Yeah.
Does that have anything to do with how teams are seeded these days?
Partially. I think some don't take it as serious as they should.
Sure.
Now, the coaches I've talked to definitely do take it serious. Sure. And there's a lot of communicating going on also. So while they're not doing it directly face-to-face, they're still talking. Mm. So it's not like there's not some politicking going on still. But it's not as active. And honestly, 18 teams in Division II for girls. Was it 29 in Division III?
I think it's 30 or 31. I know that St. Trace is a 30 seed.
Yeah. So there's 31 teams. That's hard to seed all of those teams. So there is going to be a time here and there where a lower seeded team may have beaten a team that's, I'll give you one example, Warren and New Lexington and boys. New Lexington's the 9th seed. They beat Warren head-to-head at Warren. Mm-hmm. So, with a similar, maybe their schedule's not as tough, but maybe they should be one step ahead of Warren. Maybe that game should be played at New Lexington instead. So I do think where they're not talking in person, a lot of stuff does kind of go by the wayside.
Well, and then you look at it and, our coaches looking at, like you said, the entire resume, or are they looking at that win-loss record? Mm-hmm. A lot of times that win-loss record it's not even reported correctly, or I've seen some teams without a win-loss record on the tournament bracket.
Or let's say, okay, you have to turn in your thing by Wednesday, so you just put it up on Monday. You put it up when it's first available. Let's say you lose on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Do you update it?
Right.
Some coaches might not update it.
Sure.
And then, if you play on Friday, Saturday, or those coaches, Saturday games don't even matter anymore.
Right.
So, if you play on Friday, like the Mid-State League does at times, do you update it? Or you can't update it. Do those coaches look when they go home and change their stuff up? So, I mean, it's the 11:59 thing is really tough to make sure the coaches get all their stuff in.
We started all of that by talking about Allison Basie. Brock has not
haven't said a word.
Right.
I'm just listening. I'm like, okay, guys. At some point, I'll get to talk, but we'll see. We'll figure it out. Getting back, on schedule, as we have said. My impact player. I'm going to the Shak conference for this one, and I'm going with Fairfield's Ella Newkirk. So everyone knows, what Emma Fouch brings to the table. So she's averaging like 21, 22 points a game. Peyton McGee, I believe she's their school's all-time leader in assists now, or maybe it was single season.
As a junior.
Yeah,
it's the all-time leader, yeah.
Yeah. That's as a junior. They have size on the inside with Braylon Haynes and Madison Bronner, who can bring down, 8 to 10 rebounds, give you, 6 to 8 points as well. But it's Newkirk that kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because the last time that I saw Fairfield was last month when they played North Adams. And Fairfield won that game. It was the first time they had beaten North Adams since 2004. And in that game, Newkirk had no points. I think she took 2 shots, missed them both, had no points in the game at all. But they still won that game, and Fairfield has won, I believe 15 games on the season. Now you're throwing them in the tournament where they are 4 seed, and if Newkirk is giving you, 8 to 10 points on top of what everyone else is giving you, they are a serious threat. So Newkirk is going to be a player to watch just for how sneaky she can be, just how she can knife her way, through the lane, get past, bigger players, find a way to draw contact. She's not afraid of contact at all, even though she's 5'3". I mean, she's not afraid of some contact. So if she is contributing, just even a few points a game, Fairfield has a legit shot.
I think everybody in the Shak could tell you, Fairfield has a legit shot.
Yeah.
They've been in every single game they played. I know that they, maybe drop the ball a little bit down at Eastern, at Easter, but that Eastern at Fairfield game was, that was anybody's game until midway through the fourth quarter. So
yeah, I talked to Coach Shane Combs with Paint Valley after they played them, and they had lost in overtime. And Shane said it was probably the best game they had played the entire season because they had to, or else Fairfield was going to blow them out.
Right.
And Fairfield, he said, was probably the most complete team that they've played all season. So, if they can get those, 6 to 8 points, that's going to make a big difference for Fairfield on possibly,
I'm possibly winning a district
Yeah,
title.
I was going to say.
It could come to that. Yeah.
Yeah, because, Wheelersburg coming in as the 1 seed out of there and number 1 team in the state obviously is loaded. But if you can get, a solid contribution from her, that's going to make a big difference for them.
Yeah.
Between possibly just being a sectional champion and maybe being a district champion and then beyond.
Well, and what's important about that, though, I believe that Fairfield would stay away. Is that right?
Yeah, they would stay away.
Or no, it would be the 1 and 4.
It'd be the one in the 4 in the district final. Here's another thing about Fairfield. Remember, last season they lost to New Lexington in their sectional opener. That was a game they were ahead, I believe, by 11 points, and then scored 2 points in the fourth quarter. So, and I mean, every single person is back from that team, so they are hungry and they want it.
Where was that game at?
That game was at Fairfield.
We picked.
That's
Fairfield
pretty good. That's pretty good
year.
for New Lex to have to go on that trip.
Yeah.
Speaking of drive,
Yeah.
We picked Fairfield to beat Wheelersburg
last year
on the podcast.
Sure did.
And then when they didn't beat New Lexington to get to Wheelersburg, we looked
Made
like
you
a
guys
couple
look
of
good
dudes.
last year.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
we talked about upset alert earlier, but that's just kind of a 1-game deal. So we'll talk about a Cinderella pick. A team that you think could maybe make a district, win a district, or even go as far as a regional. I guess Derek, you can start things off for us. Who do you think is your Cinderella pick?
So we just talked about Fairfield. I'm going to stay in the Shak, and Brock had mentioned that team earlier. But number 8, North Adams. First of all, North Adams they're always good.
Yeah.
You just said what 2004 Fairfield hadn't beaten them.
Hadn't beaten them
that says
since.
a lot. And so this North Adams team is reminiscent of past North Adams teams coached by Rob Davis.
Yeah.
They play hard. They play defense. They get after it every single play.
The rebounding game is ridiculous.
And it always is. And so now to win a district title, and that would be, if, as I understand, our Cinderella pick to win a district title, they'd have to, if the seeds would work out, they'd have to beat Chesapeake, Colgrove, and Wheelersburg. Well, here we are talking about Dustin Spradlin and Wheelersburg again. He's somewhere just shaking his head. But I think it's doable. Okay,
Yes.
And I'm not saying Wheelersburg isn't good because they're the top team in the state for a reason. But North Adams has been in big games all year long. They play in big games in conference play. I think they have Fairfield tomorrow actually, but they've played Eastern Brown twice. I mean, even Lynchburg Clay. When you go to, you were at that game, John. When you go to Lynchburg Clay, I don't care what the record is. I think they're pretty decent. I mean, they're around 500, but you have to play every night in the Shak. So in the tournament, they're already used to it. They're used to that type of an atmosphere. And first of all, that's an advantage just by itself. But when you have a team coached like it is, and Rob does a great job with them.
Yeah.
When you have a team coached like that, they're used to that moment. And I'm not saying Wheelersburg's not. I'm not saying Cold Grove's really good. I'm not saying Cold Grove's not going to beat North Adams. But if I had to pick a team that's a Cinderella, number 8 to beat number 1, I think that fits the bill.
Yeah, and one nice advantage for them, those 2 games would be at home. Before they would play Wheelersburg at Waverly, which is, not a bad trip for them at all. So they get to take – I'll tell you who's racked up the mileage this year is Chesapeake.
Yeah.
Because they haven't had a great year on the girls' side. In girls' soccer, they had to go to Westfall. That's horrible.
It's a nice trip.
That's just an awful trip. Now they get to go to North Adams, which, isn't as bad.
So it's better than Westfall.
Yeah, but it's not an easy trip to get there. So, Chesapeake, and I know in volleyball, I believe they had to go to Westfall too. So
yes,
it's just,
Yep.
So it's just Chesapeake's getting their mileage in,
They're paying those bus drivers. That's what the bus drivers get paid for.
Yes, exactly.
For my Cinderella pick, I had number 10 Chillicothe. Obviously up front you have J.C. Harding, who's averaging 23 points a game, and I talked to Coach Gordon. Yeah, not bad. I talked to Coach Gordon a little earlier today, and I believe he put it out on it was either Twitter or Facebook. He said that if Harding stays on path of her current points per game, that I believe it was around midway through next season she'll become the Lady Cavs all-time leading scorer. So a pretty generational player, Chillicothe right now. Obviously we talked earlier, they lost Paige Huggins to a torn ACL earlier in the season, but won 5 of their last 6 games. We talked to Jackson's coach a little earlier, so we have a game. Chillicothe has a game against them on Tuesday for a shared FAC title, and I heard their coach, he said a FAC title. Did people in the FAC call it the FAC?
Yeah, some actually do.
I've never, he said that.
We're going there. All right.
Well, he said
I'm good with it.
He said that.
I would just be careful.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
I had to kind of think about it, and I was like, well, FAC, that does sound like FAC, but yeah.
Just no K.
Right. Yeah.
It really, when he said it, caught me off guard. I was like, are we allowed to say that on here?
Some do.
I don't know if our sponsors would be real pumped about it.
Let's get back to basketball.
Okay.
But for it's called a Cinderella pick for a reason. Obviously, I think Derek, it was either your first round game you're looking forward to or upset alert. You had Chillicothe Waverly, so not going to be an easy first round matchup for Chillicothe. And even if they win, then they're going to have to more than likely play Fairfield Union. So,
who we've also talked about,
right? So it's not going to be easy, but that's what people said about Loyola Chicago and what was it, George Mason or something a while back.
George
and
Mason.
we don't have to talk about Oral Roberts last year, but
right.
If anybody wants to,
We weren't. You brought it up.
yeah. Brock, who do you have as your Cinderella pick?
So obviously we spent quite a bit of time talking about the SEC and just talking about Allison Basie in general. So I'm about to go ahead and pile on because my Cinderella pick, I'm taking Huntington as the number 12. I think they'll win their first round matchup against Portsmouth. Granted, it will be a tough matchup, but I do believe that them being home and them being just a little bit rested, I believe that they will win that game. Going on the road to Edina, yes, that'll be tough, but also at the same point, because you've played them. This will be the 3rd time you've played them, and because Huntington is getting healthy now, and I think as long as Emma Henshaw, McKenna Thompson, Carly Dyer, and those guys, as long as they are contributing, and as long as they can just keep everything going. Obviously, Allison's going to get hers, but if they get theirs as well, I think they can pull off the upset and then ultimately play Fairfield, which in a district semifinal. At that point, anything can happen.
And Brock, off to stop you there. We're going to head to a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have Eastern Brown head coach Kevin Pickerel on the call. We'll be back after this.
This is big. Horizon's fiber internet is ready. Let them get you hooked up and power your Wi-Fi network with the speed and reliability that only a 100% fiber network can do. Horizon is ready to help you do what you do better, with real people, a reliable connection, and great customer service. Sign up today for as low as $40.95 a month, plus no contracts and no data caps. Call 740-772-8331 or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe to sign up today.
This broadcast is brought to you in part by Willie & Son Trucking. Willie & Son Trucking has been a proud supporter of local student athletes, coaches, and athletic programs throughout its history. Be sure to look out for the Shak Athlete of the Week presented by Willie & Son Trucking each week at SOSAOhio.com.
Hey, it's Mike Glockner from the Glockner family of dealerships. With all the traveling that you're going to be doing this holiday season, we made servicing your vehicles as easy as possible. With our new online scheduling tool, you can schedule your oil change in less than 60 seconds. Visit Glockner.com, select Schedule Service, select the services that you need, and pick your arrival time. We'll even send you a text reminder. It's that simple. Have a great season.
This presentation of Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health, is brought to you by North Fork Animal Clinic, Haller Funeral Home, Schmidt Family Restaurant Group, Ohio Valley Bank, Shane Meyer State Farm Insurance, Neil Coleman Insurance, Homeland Credit Union, Bo Lacey Construction, Roman Family Healthcare, Haynes Total Healthcare Center, Terrell Farrow ERA Martin, Willie & Son Trucking, Glockner Family of Dealerships, Megan Care.
And welcome back to the Horizon Basketball Tournament Preview Show presented by Ohio Health. We have Coach Kevin Pickerel on the call. Coach, you know your seed, you know your opponent. I believe it's Federal Hocking, 31 seeded Federal Hocking. I think I actually saw you guys this season, which I can't say for most teams. It was the second time around against Fairfield. I believe at the time it was you guys were ranked 7th in the state, and Fairfield was ranked 10th. I think me and Tyler not here tonight, but me and Tyler were down there for that game, and I gotta say I didn't realize Eastern Brown was that far away from Chillicothe, but 56-38 win for you guys. Pretty impressive win. How do you guys feel going into your first round matchup against Federal Hocking?
We feel pretty well. We're excited about the opportunity of playing where we're at and getting 2 home games and hopefully a fairly good matchup in the district and don't want to take anything away from the teams we're going to play in the sectional, but we feel confident with it.
All right, Coach, you guys are very strong again this season. How have you been able to keep your team focused on the task at hand and kind of building team camaraderie after losing a solid class last year as well?
We've got a strong non-conference schedule, and our Shak schedule is really strong. So one game at a time, and we've done that well, and we feel like that's prepared us for this situation come February, March.
Coach Kevin, Derek here. You mentioned, preparing for games and just kind of – we were just talking about how you guys have been in big games. Well, we were talking about North Adams being in big games, but the entire Shak every night we feel like is a big game. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the atmosphere there. And what's that like to coach in on a nightly basis? Because let's face it, guys, we see a lot of teams that don't play and don't have that atmosphere. What's that like to just be able to be a part of that on a nightly basis?
Well, it definitely takes some adjustment, but it's exciting for the kids and the coaching staff and the coaches as well. But we feel very fortunate with this league that we got that's competitive 1 through 10. And I feel like with North Adams every year, Fairfield every year, Lynchburg every year, your Peebles every year, you're going to have competitive teams and great crowds. And brings the best out of our kids and our coaches. So you got to be prepared or you're going to get embarrassed.
Coach Brock here. First things first, because no one else has asked you, so far, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I appreciate it. And Brock and Derek, who day as right. I'm ready for Sunday.
Who day. So Coach, heading into the season, there was so much talk just about how loaded you guys were. I think you guys are 10, 11 deep, but also at the same point, because you guys are such a deep team. At the same point, there are times it can feel that you guys almost have too much talent, which kind of sounds crazy to say, but how have you guys just managed to just keep everything just so unselfish and kind of just just keep the bottom line for you guys.
I'm thankful for a great coaching staff that helps manage that as well, but it's not easy, but the kids have bought into what we're wanting to do. Keep the big picture. You got short-term goals and you got long-term goals, and you keep that in the forefront. And I feel like the kids have bought in with that. And in the long run, that's where we want to play for a district, regional, state title. So that's a big key.
Coach, you look at your roster, and as Brock said, 10, 12 deep, but I really feel like when you're at your best, and we've talked about this after games, McKenzie Gloff is playing at the top of her game. She's willed you to a couple of wins, and I know that you've got outstanding guard play, but when you guys can play inside out, and she's in there causing havoc as she usually does, that just makes you that much better. I mean, how important is she over the next couple of weeks here to your team's success?
She's very important. Matter of fact, the practice today I just mentioned, that's our coaching staff, is how important our post play is going to be down the stretch here. And I feel like between McKenzie Gloff and Izzy Barber, they're big factors for us. For us to get to where we want to get, they got to have great games, big games to go along with our great guard play.
So, Coach, kind of just talk about just the team chemistry that you have seen these guys build throughout the course of the season. So obviously you guys had a lot of returning players, but you also added a few pieces as well. Kind of just talk about just seeing this team come together throughout the course of the season and kind of hitting your stride at the right time as well.
Well, I'll be honest, it's not been the easiest task at hand, but I feel like our kids bought in sometime right after Christmas of what we were wanting to do, and we lost a tough game at Adena, and it kind of brought us back, humbled us a good bit, and then we was able to play a couple big games on the road and league games and won some big league games at home, and then we went up to the Classic in the country and was able to go up there and beat a good Division I team. And it kind of brought us back to where we feel like we needed to be. And, kudos to the kids. They bought in. They played hard with each other. We actually won that game up there without McKenzie Gloff. So I felt like that was a big key to us. We needed a little bit of something to give us a re-believe, so to speak. Everybody's been talking about how good we are, but we needed to see it for ourselves, and they needed to do it. And I felt like that's where it kind of took stride. And we're not done. We've got a lot of work yet to do. We've still got one league game left this week, and then get ready for Saturday's sectional game.
Coach, I got one more question for you, just to have a little bit of fun. You got a score prediction for Sunday's Super Bowl?
I do actually. 27-23 Bengals.
But it's funny. Coach asked us at a soccer game one time. He said, "Hey, we're having a media day." And I ended up working that day. I work part-time at Longhorn, too, for the people that don't know. There's a shameless plug. Longhorn Steakhouse, eat steak, right? But
hey,
he asked us.
They're a sponsor.
They are, right, exactly. But he asked us, he says, hey, do you have this media day? And I said, what time do the Bengals play?
That's true.
And so I could have made it, but I had to work. It is, yes. So.
Yeah, now, Coach, I wanted to kind of finish with something where Derek brought up soccer. Do you think that maybe that team camaraderie taking a while to kind of come together may have been, obviously not a bad thing to ever make a Final Four in soccer, but you have all kinds of players coming from that team. Do you think maybe that could have slowed down the progression of that chemistry a little bit, and maybe that's it may have been why it took a little longer.
There's a lot of positives that come from that soccer run, and having Tori Utter transfer in and playing the full season and playing multiple soccer tournament games and getting in that atmosphere. That's all positive stuff. But for sure, I mean, it's not the same as it is being out on the basketball floor. There's, I told the kids there's 11 that play in the soccer field. There's 5 that's on the floor at one time with basketball. And, as you guys have mentioned, we can play 8, 9, 10 deep. And when you can only play 5, somebody feels like they're getting a little bit cheated or a little short-handed. And we don't want that. But at the same time, you got to understand your pecking order, what you bring to the table. And to get that buy-in took a little longer than I expected. And part of that, I do blame a little of that on not having quite the preseason that most teams had prior to that. And when you're fixing that stuff in the preseason, it only makes it easier come, by Christmas. And it just seemed like it took a little longer for us. And that's part of the problem. Just a lot of different scenarios, whether it's, I wasn't making the right pick or the right choice but just putting the kids in the right place to succeed. And we've made a few changes and it's made us a little better. So hopefully, we can keep growing on that, but I do think that had a little issue with it. Not that I'm tickled to death for them. It's been an exciting time for that group of seniors and even the younger kids that played on that team. But, ultimate goal is for our seniors to have success at this sport too. And we feel like we're on the right path now to have that.
And Coach, you mentioned the Sycamore win earlier, and then you mentioned, the success and just having team success, kind of bringing everybody together. I really feel like though that when you watch your team, it's hard to get around the idea that when the game's on the line, when you need somebody to hit late free throws, the ball goes into Riley Leonard's hands.
Riley brings a lot to the table. She's a battler first and foremost on both ends. She'll play 32 minutes hard on both ends of the floor. And I think sometimes her defense gets overlooked. And I've really challenged her a lot this year defensively to take the other team's best player, and whether it's a guard or whether it's a small forward or whatever, and defend them and take away what their strengths are. And she stepped up to that. But as far as putting the ball in her hands late in the game, absolutely. I mean, she's shooting in the mid-80s probably from the free throw line. I don't know right off the top of my head, but I'm comfortable with her. With the ball in her hands, it just relaxes me as a coach. And if we fall apart on our offense or whatever, get the ball in Riley's hands, and she's going to make something happen and get other people involved. So I feel like that's a big thing for us right now, is just kind of letting her be herself, but yet everybody molding around her, and it's formed us to be where we're at. I mean, she's bringing along, we've got four really, really good players that can score a lot of points at any given night. And, Maya Hamilton being a freshman, she's kind of following the footsteps of Riley Leonard, so to speak, and Tori being a 1,300 point scorer coming into this year, and Mac, having a big year like she's had. She's played really well in some big games for us. So we just feel like we've got multiple options. Just trying to get it all to blend together, and getting the buy-in's been the hardest thing. But once we've been able to do that here lately, we've been very, very successful.
As I always tell you, you still have to deal with Trey Sams down there. So
Trey's a great addition to our staff. So.
But I always got to give him, I got to give him, I got to give him some, a little jab and ribs here and there. Right?
Absolutely.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much.
Guys, we appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you on this tournament road. And we appreciate what all you guys do for the Shak athletes and all athletes for that matter. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be on your show.
Absolutely, we wouldn't have it without you. We appreciate it. We will. Well, I'm sure we'll see you here down the road soon.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
And that'll bring us to our, I believe.
Well,
you have.
I still had my Cinderella pick.
Well, I don't even. Brock, you kind of got.
Brock,
you kind of got cut off a little bit. I didn't know if you were done.
No, we're good. I knew Kevin was waiting, so I wrapped mine up quick. We're good. I made my points. John, go for it.
So. I'm just going to throw. I'm going to throw this out there.
Oh boy.
Cinderella was,
Are you gonna?
Well, it wasn't.
anything
We're not
about-
gonna talk about that.
Obviously,
Come on,
obviously
man.
Cinderella was a long shot.
Right.
But like, if you see the live action version,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like,
There.
like Lily James was like, she wasn't going to be a long shot. Like, put her in a room, she's going to be all right. So that's where I'm going with my Cinderella pick. We're going.
That took a long way. to get
We're
to that.
going.
We have no idea what
Yeah.
just happened on this show, but
We're going.
We're finally getting
Yeah,
to this point.
I'm not going to go for a super low seed.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
I'm going to go with someone who's been to the dance. Showed up pretty well at the dance last year. I'm going Vinton County.
Okay.
Okay.
They're a 4 seed.
Sure.
They would have to get through Sheridan, who I think we all say is probably going to be the toughest team to beat in Division
Ohio.
2. Yeah, in the Southeast District. Probably with Faith Stinson, they're a favorite to go to the Final Four. They are loaded. But Vinton County started off the season 2-3. They've won 11 of their last 13. Tons of tournament experience. Bartow, Zinn, and company. Their road to the district title game, if they take care of business, because early on in the year they played Jackson, beat them by 20.
Mm-hmm.
They have to feel pretty good about where they're at in that matchup. Now, obviously, you can't overlook Jackson, like we've
very
talked
true.
about.
Not to mention in that game, it was an 8-point game in the fourth quarter before Lacey
Right.
Williams hit 4 straight threes.
Right. Lacey Williams, big player for him last year in the state tournament. It's a team that, maybe teams are overlooking them. Had the coaching change. Maybe that took them a little while to get going in that 2-3 start, but they've really gotten rolling. The TVC is strong league, so they're going to be prepared for whoever they see. So I'm going to say Cinderella pick. I'm going to go the Lily James version.
Okay.
Shouldn't be overlooked. Maybe not the first one you look at, but has been to the dance.
I mean, I will
Benton
say
County. I'm gonna take if they can beat Sheridan, I think they go back to the Final Four.
it's very possible. I mean, I will say this: Vinton County they do end their season with Alexander
Easy.
and then Trimble as well.
Oh, see. So they don't have any days off.
That's back-to-back nights as well.
That's not ideal, but here's the thing. They like TLC. They don't want no scrubs before.
For the love of God.
Next segment.
No, I'm just letting you know they don't. They are not.
I did not think we'd have a TLC.
I didn't either.
They
did
don't
not know. Oh my!
If you would have seen my left eye this morning, you would have known why I made that reference. But
we're sorry, folks. We didn't know
I'm
this was
not.
going to happen tonight.
I am not sorry.
We're here.
So I'm going to say Vinton County
Okay.
in good shape, and I like it even more now that you told me their schedule.
Yeah.
Coming up, because that means they have to be focused at all points coming on. So they're going to be prepared for that big run.
And that'll finally get us away from that to the bold prediction part of our girls segment. Wow. Bruce, actually, no, we're not starting. we'll go to the other end with Brock just to get as far away as.
What's the?
Give him a couple minutes to think of something else, okay?
Is more time really what he needs? though.
That's fair. That's fair. I do love the Disney referencing. I will say that. Love that.
And TLC.
Yeah, sure.
You want me to go deeper?
No, not yet.
We've already
not
went
yet
it.
at least.
Okay,
Your
because
bold
Left Eye
prediction.
hosted a show called The Cut.
Your bold prediction.
Goodness gracious, I'm still getting over the TLC reference. I don't even know where Lily James came from. I have no.
She's in the live action version. I'm not even going to say what she's starred in right
idea.
now
Okay, we're I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
because we're not sponsored by Hulu.
I'm sorry. Okay.
They haven't had sports,
Yet.
though.
Yeah. Okay. So for my bold prediction, I guess I'm gonna say that South Webster in D4 they beat Trimble for a second time to win a district championship. Now, obviously, it's gonna be much tougher. But that being said, the first time they played Trimble, they beat Trimble at Trimble. Now this will be a neutral site game. Also, they'll be coming off if the seeds work out. Though more than likely they will be coming off playing Paint Valley. Now,
got to be Paint Valley.
Yeah, Paint Valley, tough team, incredibly tough team, rebound the ball very well. But also at the same point, I don't think Paint Valley has any one or even two people to stop Bree Claxton, because teams have been trying to do that all year, and she's still dropping 31 casually, like it's just an everyday thing for her, which at this point it kind of is. But Skylar Zimmerman, she has the ability to contribute, 10 points a night. Faith Maloney, she can as well. Obviously, that's not her role, but with her being, 6 feet tall, in the post, blocking shots. So we all know she's a superior volleyball player, such an athletic player. So, I mean, she can block, 4 or 5 shots a night. I mean, they're a tough team, very gritty. Bella Claxton's, she's kind of just a bulldozer on the inside. So I think Southwestern has the makings of winning a district championship and beating Trimble to do so.
Yeah, and even when Faith Maloney doesn't block shots, she alters others.
Yeah.
She affects the way that you have to attack offensively. So we talked about him earlier. I love the pick the pick that you had, Brock, for a player that makes the most impact. I'm saying Fairfield wins a district title.
Oh, okay.
And so last year,
you're welcome, Wheelersburg.
Last year,
more bullets and more
said
material.
That. And actually, it was funny after we picked Fairfield to win a district title over Wheelersburg last year. Dusty Spradlin played that on loop in practice, and that's a true story.
I can only imagine.
So I'm probably somewhere in a gym right now, but don't get me wrong. Again, Wheelersburg is so good, and they're so fundamental. And Dusty does a great job with them. You've got to stop Elena Keeney. You have to, stop McKenna Walker. You have to make sure Lexi Rucker doesn't get her hands on the game. I mean, they have so much. Then guess what? Madison Whitaker, who really took down Eastern Brown last year, from beyond the 3-point arc. And then you throw in just, tons and tons of players that are just, they're good basketball players.
Think about all the names you just said. You didn't even say Macy Eaton.
Or Annie Carell. I mean, and I was about to. I mean, you bring those kids off the bench, and not Macy, but I mean, you bring Annie off the bench, and they go 8-9 deep themselves, and they're a good basketball team. But Fairfield, I mean, if they can shoot the basketball on a nightly basis, they're so good.
Yeah.
And I mean, Emma Fouch is unconscious from 3. She's just deadly. Peyton McGee does everything. She does a little bit of everything every night. You mentioned Ella Newkirk. Then you have Madison Bronner and Braylon Haynes inside. And, oh, by the way, we're not mentioning Faith Donnelly, who I believe is probably the 6th best man off the bench in our area. I mean, she's got to be one of the top 3. So maybe it's not a bold prediction, but I feel like when Wheelersburg is the top-ranked team, not in our area but in the state, they're probably going to be undefeated going into that game.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you have a big bullseye on your back, and anybody that beats you, that's an upset pick. But I think Fairfield does win a district title if they play to their potential.
Now, I just want to throw out something like, stop. This isn't going to be dumb, I don't think. Just looking ahead at the regionals, Berlin Highland isn't the 1 seed in the East. How good is Union Local?
Right.
Like, that sounds horrible if someone's better than Berlin Highland. I know Berlin Highland lost a lot, which me and
also underwent a coaching change, so that probably has something to
but still
legendary coach there.
I mean, Dewey, do you want to go with
my bold prediction?
Yeah, your bold prediction.
It's pretty bold, I'm not going to lie.
That's the whole point of it being a bold prediction.
That's what I thought about the Cinderella thing, too, and then John's over here picking a 4 seed. And,
that's right. I think smarter.
They've been to the dance.
Yes. I have Notre Dame making it to a regional title game. Now, like I said, it's pretty bold. To win their district, probably going to have to get through Waterford or Peebles. Would probably rather match up with Peebles than Waterford.
Oh, sure.
Waterford's been pretty solid this season, and even then, once they get past those teams, on the other side, it's going to be Paint Valley, South Webster. Or, I know Brock, you had South Webster over Trimble, but Trimble also has a chance of playing Notre Dame, which they've already played once this season, and Trimble came out on top, 55-46. But yeah, I have Notre Dame. 100 straight wins in the SOC 1. Derek, I believe
that's a decent stat.
Yeah, we were talking about that. When we did the Portsmouth West at Waverly game a couple weeks back. I think that night they got their 99th win.
Yeah.
And then a couple days later it was their 100th. And Annie Datweiler leading the way with 12.6, and I think I may have told you this, but her older sister,
Claire.
The one that went to St. Francis.
Katie.
Katie, my bad.
In my first semester college English class, so that's why I'm making.
That gives them the nod, right?
That's why I'm making this.
Okay, fair enough.
And
honestly,
that's my reasoning.
I think that's. Notre Dame is nothing. I mean, we're going to talk to JD McKenzie here soon, but Notre Dame is nothing. To sleep on.
Right.
We talk about being in big games, and they've done that for how long now?
4 or 5 years.
Now,
yeah, a while.
Like. So, and South Webster. I mean, Fairfield. What I think that this segment though has showed is we've got a lot of talents at Southern Ohio.
Yeah, big time.
Right here in our backyard. That it's not in Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland. It's right here in our backyard. We've got a lot of talented players.
Hey, and I'll tell you what. Notre Dame has really gone out of their way to really schedule up in the non-conference as well. So, I mean, they've won the 100 straight games in the SOC. They've really taken the steps to challenge themselves outside of it as well.
Yeah, big time. Had it not been for the snow, they would have played Vinton County Saturday.
Yeah, that was a heck of a game.
Right. So, I mean, they've done what they can to get themselves tournament ready. So, I think it's a nice pick, Dewey.
And thanks.
You're welcome.
And we're going to head to a commercial break. When we come back, I did it again. Notre Dame head coach JD McKenzie will be on the call. We'll be back after this.
This presentation of Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health, is brought to you by North Fork Animal Clinic, Haller Funeral Home, Schmidt Family Restaurant Group, Ohio Valley Bank, Shane Meyer State Farm Insurance, Neil Coleman Insurance, Homeland Credit Union, Bo Lacey Construction, Roman Family Healthcare, Haynes Total Healthcare Center, Terrell Farrow ERA Martin, Willie & Son Trucking, Glockner Family of Dealerships, Megan Carroll State Farm Insurance, Longhorn Steakhouse, Ohio Health, and Horizon.
Hey, it's Mike Glockner from the Glockner Family of Dealerships. With all the traveling that you're going to be doing this holiday season, we made servicing your vehicles as easy as possible. With our new online scheduling tool, you can schedule your oil change in less than 60 seconds. Visit Glockner.com, select Schedule Service, select the services that you need, and pick your arrival time. We'll even send you a text reminder. It's that simple. Have a great season.
This broadcast is brought to you in part by Willie & Son Trucking. Willie & Son Trucking has been a proud supporter of local student athletes, coaches, and athletic programs throughout its history. Be sure to look out for the Shak Athlete of the Week presented by Willie & Son Trucking each week at SOSAOhio.com.
This is big. Horizon's fiber internet is ready. Let them get you hooked up and power your Wi-Fi network with the speed and reliability that only a 100% fiber network can do. Horizon is ready to help you do what you do better, with real people, a reliable connection, and great customer service. Sign up today for as low as $40.95 a month, plus no contracts and no data caps. Call 740-772-8331 or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe to sign up today.
And welcome back to the Horizon Basketball Tournament Preview Show brought to you by Ohio Health. We have Coach JD McKenzie on the call. I'm going to beat Brock to the punch this time. Coach, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
I'm doing good. I think the rest of us are doing pretty well as well. Coach, first round bye, I believe it's either Manchester or Eastern Pike. I don't know how to word this question really. Have you thought about which team you think you may play? And if you have, how might your game plan be different for either team?
Well, I go watch them play bye, so we'll go live scout. We actually scrimmaged Eastern at the beginning of this season, and they used to be in our league. When the Coconut girls were freshmen, they were still in our league, so we know a little bit about them. Those girls can both play, and I'd say Eastern's a really good 3-win team. Probably much better than their record, and have played some teams pretty tight, especially second half of the season. But we've got a week of games this week, so we're kind of staying focused on that. And then when it comes time to turn towards getting prepared for the tournament and who we're going to play, that's when we'll take care of that.
And Coach, I know you got to like my bold prediction if you heard it. I mean, I'm riding the Notre Dame hype train all the way to the regional title game. I mean, full confidence from my side. John, Derek.
Yeah. Coach, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. So I was kind of talking about it before the break on, going out and really upping your non-conference schedule. As Brock said, you would have been playing Vinton County this past week, Fisher Catholic, Parkersburg South, Newark Catholic, just some of the teams that you guys went out and played. How valuable is that for your team to face maybe better opponents or just different opponents that you're going to face in league play to get yourselves prepared for that tournament run?
Well, I think it's been super, super helpful and super valuable to us, especially since most of those games were on the road or at least at a neutral site. I think, we played South Gallia at home. That was a home game, but we went to Fisher. We went to Newark. We played Trimble at Rio Grande. We were supposed to go to Vinton County. We got Webster at home this year, but, traveling a couple hours and going and playing a quality opponent on a Saturday afternoon, I think it made us mature. As we're a really young team, and it made us mature quickly. And, the thing I took from it is, we've lost 3 games, to Fisher, Trimble, and Newark Catholic, and we were leading midway through the fourth quarter in all those games. We were just missing a little something on how to win those games, and that's what those games teach you and you learn from. And the last few years we've tried to really make our out-of-conference schedule tough as well. And some of those games that should be close, we won by a lot of points, and we didn't get what we wanted out of it. And this year, even though losing those games, I don't like to lose more than the next guy, but if it helps us when it comes tournament time, I'm all for it, and I think it did. Now, granted, we got to go perform once it is tournament time, but we should be ready. We should have been in a lot of different situations that maybe we haven't been the last few years, and hopefully we can call upon those times that we need, to get a stop or get a bucket or go on a run or stop a team from going on a run, because we've been in those situations so much this season. And hopefully it and I know that it has helped us, and hopefully it'll help us later in the tournament.
Coach, 100 straight wins in the SOC1. Obviously, that just happened this past week. What type of an accomplishment is that, without kind of, stating the obvious? I mean, how proud are you of that accomplishment in a conference sense? I mean, it's basically unheard of.
I'm really proud as a coach. When me and my coaching staff took over 12 years ago, our program wasn't very good, and they hadn't won more than 6 games in about 20 years. Their last sectional was in 1984. Their last SOC was in 1984, and that was the only 2 championships the school had in girls basketball. And, I just remember thinking, I don't want to have a good team. I want to have a good program. I want to build something that has longevity. And, I looked at different programs at that time, which were, what you would call the top tier programs. It was Oak Hill girls basketball, Wheelersburg football, things like that. And I was like, what all these things have in common? And, one thing for sure was the longevity as the coach. There wasn't a lot of turnover in the coaches, and, they were there for a while and they built something. And so I knew that was important. And, I was inside the school as a teacher. I was able to build relationships off the court with the kids I was coaching, which I thought was super important. And then, just the coaches that we picked up through the years, I would put our coaching staff up against anybody's in the state of Ohio. I mean, I can't speak highly enough about them. And then, it comes down to kids buying into, what you're wanting to do. I mean, you want to do all these things as a coach, but the kids have to believe in what you're telling them and what you want them to do. And they have to see progress and results and things like that as well. And it's been a special ride. But, I look back and I think one of the biggest things is consistency, and that starts with like the coaching staff, the coaching staff's being consistent, the quality of players, quality of parents, involved in our program. And probably one of the biggest things is these kids and these parents allow us to coach hard, allow us to be tough on them. They believe in what we're doing. And with that, you see the rewards of kind of people letting you do what you do. And, there's times I'm tough on them. But like I said on the radio the other night, if these kids know that you love them and care about them, they'll let you coach them hard. And I try to do that as much as I can, let them see me in some other light besides a coach or a principal or things like that, just a human being that cares about them, ask them about, their day and, how things are going and stuff like that. There's a lot more to coaching than X's and O's. And I think a big part of it's building relationships. And I think, if I had to say, if anybody asked me what I was really good at as a coach, that's probably what I would say is building relationships.
Brock, we got to know Coach McKenzie really well. A couple years back, and it was back in the Notre Dame versus Peoples days in their tournament runs. And this is my favorite moment from you, Coach. We took a picture. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
We took a picture, and JD McKenzie, man, he's got guns, all right? Like, this dude is yoked up. Okay?
Exactly.
I took a picture. I get home that night, and I look at my wife, Jenny, and I said, man, that guy, I mean, he is. And then I found out he was a farmer, too, and then that's when I knew, okay,
it all made
total
sense.
Right,
it all made sense. Right. So to piggyback off that, have you done your workout tonight?
Right.
How are the guns looking now?
Well, it gets tougher during season to get in. I am lucky. For my lunch break, I do go down to the weight room and throw it around a little bit.
Throw it around.
I believe that, actually.
Me too.
I fully believe that. There's no lunch. It's just steaks and weights. 100%. That's what I believe.
Well, I did just some roast beef that I cooked in the crock pot. And so, yeah, I like lifting heavy things.
Well, Coach, everything that you guys have, accomplished this season, it's nothing's really changed. The only thing really that's different is that you guys are not a number one seed in the tournament. But I mean, you guys have just dominated essentially your competition, and you've done it with no seniors, and you've done it with only a handful of players. Who have the real varsity experience. So how have you just seen your team, which is mainly comprised of sophomores and a couple of juniors. There's no seniors on this team at all. How have you just seen this team kind of just come together and just continue clicking game by game?
Well, I mean, at the beginning of the season, us talking as coaches together, we knew coming back that we had talented girls. Like our sophomore class is really skilled, really talented, just inexperienced. And, you got Annie and Cameron coming back off their first year of varsity experience, as being starters for us. And, so really we brought two girls back that have varsity experience. So I I didn't know where we were going to be at. We got 8 tough out of conference games. We could have lost all 8 of them. And, I told people that I said, we could be anywhere, but we could be a 9 or a 10 seed this year. I don't know. But once we got beat up at Fisher Catholic, I think that got, the attention of the girls. And, we talked, I got upset and got on them. And, it's a long bus ride home after you get beat. And especially in a game where you're leading the whole game. And then, midway through the fourth quarter, you lose the lead and then lose the game. And it got their attention. I could tell when we got back to practice that something was different. And then we played Newark Catholic and they led the whole game. And then we took the lead and then they came back and in the fourth quarter. And then we played Trimble. And I remember telling my wife vividly, I was like, we can go up there and get beat by 40. I said, if we don't show up, they're going to drub us. And we led that whole game and then, got beat late. And, but I think that was where it really clicked and they started believing, man, hey, we're pretty good. And we could be pretty good. And the South Webster one was a big win for us. And since we've played them, I don't think they've lost and beat Trimble and knocked somebody else off. And I think they beat West. And, so we've played some really good teams this year, but they've just grown steadily. And we talked about that at the beginning of the year. We want your trajectory to constantly be going up. That way, when we get to the end of the season, that's the best we've been all year long. Some teams, and I've had really good teams that, peaked and we didn't really get any better. Once we got into the tournament, we were still really good, but we just didn't keep getting better. And I think this team is consistently getting better. And I remember saying a few times throughout the year, I was like, we're going to be a team once we get the tournament that teams are going to be like, man, I don't really want to play them because, they're going to give us fits. And, we're just so different than we've been in the past. We're not a pressing team. We're not run and gun and, that kind of stuff that we've been the last 5 or 6 years. And we're more of a half-court offense, half-court defense team. And we're not scoring in the 60s and 70s all the time. And we've said a lot of times this year, we get to 50 before the other team, we're going to win. And defensively is probably where we've grown more as the season went on. Earlier in the season, I thought we were going to be dreadful defensively. And we've just kept growing and growing and growing, but we emphasize it in practice every day, and the girls are buying in, and we're still not where we want to be, but we're a lot better than we were in the beginning of the year.
Coach, whenever, you say you're, more of a half-court oriented team, how nice is it to have, well, you guys don't shoot or make a ton of threes, to have players like Ella and Cameron and Annabelle that all shoot over 30% from three for you guys. How valuable is that for what you guys want to do offensively, and how much does that free up some things for like Annie inside?
Well, it definitely does, because, we've had, especially conference teams that we play twice. Like the first time we play them, just use Sims Valley, for instance, they packed it in up there at their place and we shot a bunch of threes and we made quite a few of them. Then the next time we play them, they come out in a triangle and two, and, they're guarding Cameron and Ella man to man. And so we start going inside. And I've said that all year, like, you can pack it in on us. We can shoot the three, and and if you're going to leave the middle open, we've got pretty good post players. And when you got Annie Detweiler that can play all 5 positions and defend all 5 positions, we move her around all the time. She'll run to 1, run to 4, run to 5. And Katie's been really big. Katie Strickland's been really big for us in the post. I think she leads us in field goal percentage this year. And then Gracie Ashley's been great, especially after about the first game. Once she got some confidence, she's our leading rebounder and, is very consistent inside. And then she shoots it well from outside. Doesn't have a whole lot of threes this year, but, when she shoots it from outside, it's not a bad shot. So, and Annie doesn't shoot very many threes, but she's been shooting lights out in practice. And I think that's just something you'll probably see a little more of come tournament time, is she's going to look for her shot from outside. But, we're really balanced scoring wise. We don't have one player averaging 20, 25 points a game like maybe we have in the past. And we've got a bunch of people around 10 points a game. And we've had, 6 or 7 different leading scorers this year. And, you look at our scorebooks on a lot of nights and you'll see somebody with 15, and then you'll see a 14, a 13, an 11, a 9, a 8, a 7. And you can't just look at us and say, well, we'll go boxing one on them and stop their best player. Well, I always say when you go boxing one on us, you better hope your 4 are better than our other 4. And, I think that just, it allows us to do more things and be more balanced and not have to, we last year, we relied on Ava a lot, maybe sometimes to a fault. But, she was a generational player. But, this year, I think Annie's a generational player, but she's just a different player. And, she affects the game in so many different ways, blocks and deflections and steals and rebounds and scoring and all those types of things. And, we've got a lot of girls that aren't selfish and are not worried about the numbers. They're only worried about the letters, and that's the wins and losses.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking, what was it, probably 10 minutes out of your Sunday night to talk to us. Good luck in your tournament run, and I can confidently say I'll be rooting for you throughout the tournament. And once again, thanks for taking time out of your Sunday night to talk to us.
No, guys, I appreciate it, and appreciate you guys doing this and giving the girls some publicity out there.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it. We'll see you here soon.
All right, guys, be good.
And I believe we're going to head to a commercial break before we start with the boys, because that is the end of our girls segment here tonight on the Horizon Basketball Tournament Preview Show presented by Ohio Health. We'll be back with the first round games we're looking forward to on the boys' side after this.
This presentation of Southern Ohio Sports Authority presented by Ohio Health is brought to you by North Fork Animal Clinic, Haller Funeral Home, Schmidt Family Restaurant Group, Ohio Valley Bank, Shane Myers State Farm Insurance, Neil Coleman Insurance, Homeland Credit Union, Bo Lacey Construction, Roman Family Healthcare, Haynes Total Healthcare Center, Terrell Farrow ERA Martin, Willie & Son Trucking, Glockner Family of Dealerships, Megan Carroll State Farm Insurance, Longhorn Steakhouse, Ohio Health, and Horizon.
Hey, it's Mike Glockner from the Glockner Family of Dealerships. With all the traveling that you're going to be doing this holiday season, we made servicing your vehicles as easy as possible. With our new online scheduling tool, you can schedule your oil change in less than 60 seconds. Visit Glockner.com, select Schedule Service, select the services that you need, and pick your arrival time. We'll even send you a text reminder. It's that simple. Have a great season.
This broadcast is brought to you in part by Willie & Son Trucking. Willie & Son Trucking has been a proud supporter of local student athletes, coaches, and athletic programs throughout its history. Be sure to look out for the Shak Athlete of the Week presented by Willie & Son Trucking each week at SOSAOhio.com.
This is big. Horizon's fiber internet is ready. Let them get you hooked up and power your Wi-Fi network with the speed and reliability that only a 100% fiber network can do. Horizon is ready to help you do what you do better, with real people, a reliable connection, and great customer service. Sign up today for as low as $40.95 a month, plus no contracts and no data caps. Call 740-772-8331 or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe to sign up today.
Welcome back to the Horizon Basketball Tournament Preview Show presented by Ohio Health. We just finished up things with the call with JD McKenzie on the girls' side of things. We're going to kick things over to the boys' side of things, and we're going to start off where we started off with the girls as first-round games you're looking forward to. John, you want to get things going for us?
What's up? All right. So I think with the boys' side, there tends to be more upsets. So you can see upsets with some big numbers. Last year we saw Gallia Academy.
12 seed or something?
There were 14.
14, yeah, and knocked off a really good Hillsborough team last year before reaching the
district
final.
Against Uniota.
Yeah, against Uniota. And they like you see upsets happen a little bit more in boys. And I'm going to go back to that Hillsborough team. My first round game to really look forward to is Hillsborough at Logan Elm. Hillsborough was the 13th seed. Logan Elm was the 4. If we go back to the seeding thing, I think, when we talk about Fairfield Union a little bit later, we'll talk about the fact Fairfield Union beat Logan Elm pretty handily and still ended up being the 5. Now, I don't think it's going to matter that much in, terms of who they play and whatnot. I don't think Logan Elm would be like, oh, we'd much rather play that super physical Jackson team.
Sure.
Like it's not a good matchup either way because really in Division II it's really deep.
So Division II, is there a good matchup for anyone? I mean it's that tough.
Yeah.
It's
always tough.
I mean, it's full of difficult matchups like we said with that 14 over a 3 last year. Now, both teams are undersized, so this matchup works out a little bit more for Hillsborough, and part of their issue has been guarding bigger teams. I know when we beat Hillsborough earlier, we had big games from our interior guys. While we, did match up pretty well on that was one of our better outside shooting games, but we were able to attack them on the inside. Where Logan Elm isn't real big. Both teams can really shoot the basketball though. Hillsborough has, I'm going to just throw this out there, some dudes. Just some dudes. They got dudes that can play.
Yeah.
That they can put on a Tanner Holbert, who's averaging a little over 20 points a game for Logan Elm and is just a dynamic scorer. Can do it inside, outside, off the dribble. He will just go deep as, you think he won't go that deep, he'll go that deep. That dude can really shoot
downtown Circleville.
Yeah, yeah, he can really play. But when you throw in a captain, you throw captain on him, that's going to be a really good defensive matchup. Where like an interior matchup with Baker and Price, is maybe more even. I think that's really the one to watch because if Price, Hunter Price, if he can outscore Baker on the night, I think that really helps Hillsborough and possibly pull off the upset on the road. Now they'd have to keep Holbert under 20. I would like the Indians' chances for an upset in those situations. And even if they can't, that's going to be I just feel like that's going to be a really good game. I think it's an interesting matchup because of how similar they can be. I know Coach Stuyvesant and Coach Holbert are seen as, really a really good coaching staff, and they're outstanding. And they've made it to a Final Four. They've won multiple district titles. Hillsborough's coaching staff is really good too. I mean, they're going to be ready to play. It'll be a fun coaching matchup. Hillsborough's coaching staff's very young, but I think they'll be up to the challenge. I think could be a really fun kind of under the radar game.
My pick, the first round game, and I know I'm going to pick one that John's going to be a part of. I'm going to go to number 10 Unyota at number 7 Washington. I think so. First of all, I was at this game earlier this year, and these two met earlier. Like, what was it?
Second game,
second two, 1 or 2. Yeah. And let's be honest, John. It was a whipping. I mean, Washington came in, took care of business.
We were down 4 with the ball, with 2 minutes left. But
what was the final score?
8.
I mean, it was, but physically.
But it was a 4-point game. We had the ball.
This is John's bias, right?
No, I'm just saying, it's not really a whipping if it's a 4-point game with the ball.
Tanner LeMaster
killed us.
Right. Okay. That's what I basically.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
but in a lot of teams he has. I mean, Tanner LeMaster's a really good basketball
because he's
player.
Awesome.
Right. And then you put in Rico Coulter. Then you put in the Haithcocks. Then you put in John Wall, who's really good. Right. Right. He's out there doing the dug. I mean,
that's the John Wall.
The John Wall. Anyways,
literally the name of the dance.
When you look at Washington, they're a really good team. But at times, it's. I mean, as a reporter, you kind of like look at their losses and you're like, how? I mean, how did they lose that game? And I'm not. Trust me, you play McLean and Jackson, as we've talked about, and you play in a good conference. Chillicothe, they've dropped. I mean, but at the same time, you're like, when you saw that team earlier in the year, there's a couple times this year where I'm like, that's the same team that we saw earlier at Unyota. And I know Tanner LeMaster's been hurt a little bit, so they've obviously had to kind of get over that, hiccup, if you would. But then I look at a Unyota team when you have Deshaun Branson, who, I'm just going to say it, there's nobody like him on the court that night. To me, there's not. You give the ball and you put the ball into Deshaun Branson's hands, I think he's the best player on the floor. And so I know maybe as a coach you don't want me to sit here and say that, or like if I talk to Matt Hoops, I'm sure he doesn't want me to say that. But that's just how it is. And sometimes then you look at a Blake Hoops who's evolved over this year, and he's gotten better throughout the year. And then you look at I like Jordan Perkins. I like the way that he plays. I like Ben Spetnagel, the way he plays. And I haven't even mentioned Evan Park, who Shannon Bartriff, Washington's Shannon Bartriff, told me that night he thought Evan Park could be the best player on the floor at any time. So I like Unyota's chances. I know that they've been in good games or big games. They have the talent to pull off that upset. I don't know if you call 10-7 an upset, and especially like we said in Division II. But I think that they have the talent to stay with Washington, and those are two really teams that are kind of similar. I'm looking forward to that one.
Now, I'll say this about Washington. I believe they've only 2 of their losses have came when they've been at full strength. And
Fair.
it seems like they're
Totally
about
fair.
there.
Yeah.
I watched them down at Waverly beat a really good Jonathan Alder team and beat them pretty easily. I mean, it was a tightish game, but like you knew they were going to win at the end.
Warren earlier.
Yeah, they beat Warren
right?
earlier. Rico went off for 40.
Went off for 40 that day.
Because when I mentioned Hillsborough has some dudes, like Rico Calder is like, he's legit.
He's legit.
Yeah, so I mean, I personally thought they should have gotten a better seed, so I don't love the matchup for us, but I mean, it's one of those things. We're gonna go play. Hopefully, it'll be like you said.
What a close game, right?
Yeah,
I want it to
tight,
be a competitive
fun game.
game. And as you said, it was last time. I guess I should have said Tanner LeMaster maybe whipped Uniota a little bit.
He did.
You know,
I think he had 26.
Maybe not team on team, but Tanner LeMaster, he was tough that night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, you guys have gone, D2 and D2. I'm going to go to D3, and this is not exactly, I guess for lack of a better phrase, this is not exactly, the sexiest matchup that you'll see, but it's a 16-17, which is Wellston and Oak Hill. Mm-hmm. So I work in Vinton County, so therefore, I cover both of these teams. But they played each other, the first game of the season. Oak Hill won that game 60-51, but Wellston was not at full strength that night as Kyan Irvin. He did not play. He was recovering from an ankle injury. Well, now he's back, and Kyan's averaging about 22 points a game. Oak Hill, they've kind of sputtered a little bit. Granted, Wellston has as well, but Wellston still has a couple big games coming up, including a huge one on Friday against Vinton County, potentially either knocking off Vinton County, to force a 3-way tie atop the TVC, or Vinton County is going to win it outright. But that matchup has a lot of intrigue. Obviously, both teams, they're in Jackson County. It's a county rivalry. Wellston, they want the revenge. For that loss. The key for me going into that is, can Oak Hill slow the tempo down? So I know that Oak Hill, they want to play fast, but also at the same point, their game goes through Aiden Hall on the inside, who at 6'5" is a mismatch, for a lot of teams. If they can slow the game down, slow Wilson down defensively, and force them to shoot a lot of threes instead of penetrating, through Kyan, Garrett Brown and Evan Brown, as long as they can just keep the game, somewhat close down the stretch, I believe, that game has a lot of intrigue. Now, granted, in the next matchup, they get, top-seeded Memphis. Good luck with that one. But just for that game, I'm looking forward to that one.
And I'm sure we'll have a little bit of a was somebody else?
No, you had a good one.
Yeah, I do have a good one, actually. Thanks. So Piketon Huntington, I believe, was supposed to play on Friday or Saturday, because the SVC does Friday, Saturday games. I don't remember which day it was, but first time Piketon and Huntington met, I was at the game with my main man, Brian Smith, who I believe like a month ago got hired at the softball head coach at Huntington now. So,
that's a good dude.
Yeah, I know he's watching right now, my boy. But Piketon, the 9 seed against Huntington, 24 seed, 56-53. It really came down to a last shot for Huntington. I don't remember who took it. It was a corner 3. And if Brian was here, he would tell you, I've never seen between both teams so many 3-pointers made in one game. And obviously, you expect that with Piketon is it's either Carreno or Carreno, like 5th or 6th in the league in 3-point shooting. And obviously, outside of that, you have the Armstrong kid, who I think is leading the SVC in
his
shot percentage.
His field goal percentage is hilarious, and he shoots threes. Like
it's like 70.
He's like he's over 70% from the field on the year.
And then without saying, you have Swan and Goyen, who honestly is one of the most overlooked and underrated duos, not only in the SVC, but really in the area. And then for Huntington, not a win. We were talking about it the other day. Winless in the SVC, but has the best non-league record among all SVC schools, which I think they started out 3-1 or 3-2. So, just not able to find their rhythm, but they're going to get an extra chance in the SVC as they'll have a 15th game against Piketon. This isn't my upset alert, but
hey,
I think Huntington, they able to knock it down from beyond the arc like they did the first time. I mean,
hey, and speaking of Brian, Caleb Smith is back.
Oh, I forgot he did not play that game.
Yeah.
I think I don't remember what happened. I don't remember what happened,
Yeah.
but I know he didn't play that game, and obviously he's among the top 10 or so three-point shooters in the SBC. And
he's like in the top 10 of the SEC in three-point shooting, and he's played maybe half the games this year.
Right.
Due to injuries and other things. And that dude can flat out shoot it. Seth McCloskey, another guy who can shoot it.
Luke Lewis.
Lewis can really shoot it.
Wes Brown
can get to the hoop on anybody.
Get to the hoop, but I'm telling you, and I was doing a game with somebody, and we were talking about guards who don't really look to score. I think it was the Upper Arlington game against Waverly, and we were talking about it a little with one of Upper Arlington's players. But Wes Brown, not a guy that really looks to score, but a guy that can score. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that Piketon and Huntington game in the first round.
Yeah, and Piketon really, really plays defense. Like they've turned it on a good bit in the second half of the year defensively. But I will say this: there was I don't remember the exact year, but Huntington went over in the SVC, played second place St. Trace in the sectional semi, and knocked them off.
That was 2015.
Elijah Shanks was on that.
Yeah, Elijah Shanks was on that team. So I mean, like,
I remember that.
They had some pieces.
Beat Pierce Mowry.
Yeah, beat Pierce Mowry.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they haven't had the year that they'd like to have had.
Sure.
Right.
But the new season's coming up with the postseason. You never know what can happen. And, I like that pick because, it's an interesting matchup because how interesting the first game was. They're going to see each other again this week. I kind of would guess it'll be either Tuesday or Saturday. I haven't looked at that for sure. And then I think the winner of that has an outstanding chance to get to the district tournament.
Right.
So I have a question for you. As a coach, you said they're going to play this week. Then you got to turn around and play them again. At Edina Huntington, the girls the same way. How tough is that to prepare? I mean, I know you're playing the same team, but are you going to see every? You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to give out everything, but maybe if you just say, hey, you know what, we feel like we're better, so we're just going to do what we do.
Sure.
We do what we do. They'll be maybe more prepared for it the second time, but if you really take care of things the way like these teams probably like Piketon thinks they probably can do, outstanding coaching staff down there. They will not overlook. Like, let's say they beat Huntington pretty easy this week. Who knows? They're not gonna. Those kids, those football players, those football kids.
True.
Brent McGuire has been awesome the second half of the year for Piketon.
I forgot about him.
Yeah.
About shooters.
Yeah, he's been really good the second half of the year, and I think he's the type of guy who, maybe didn't show out as much in the first matchup, could come up big in the second matchup, but is somebody that, can take over a game because he's had multiple games where he's right on the 20-point line. So I think that's definitely an interesting first-round matchup.
And with that, we're going to take a quick break for commercials. And when we come back, we're going to have Unioda head coach Matt Hoops on the call. We'll be back after this.
This presentation of Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health, is brought to you by North Fork Animal Clinic, Haller Funeral Home, Schmidt Family Restaurant Group, Ohio Valley Bank, Shane Meyer State Farm Insurance, Neil Coleman Insurance, Homeland Credit Union, Bo Lacey Construction, Roman Family Healthcare, Haynes Total Healthcare Center, Terrell Farrow ERA Martin, Willie & Son Trucking, Glockner Family of Dealerships, Megan Carroll State Farm Insurance, Longhorn Steakhouse, Ohio Health, and Horizon.
Hey, it's Mike Glockner from the Glockner Family of Dealerships. With all the traveling that you're going to be doing this holiday season, we made servicing your vehicles as easy as possible. With our new online scheduling tool, you can schedule your oil change in less than 60 seconds. Visit Glockner.com, select Schedule Service, select the services that you need, and pick your arrival time. We'll even send you a text reminder. It's that simple. Have a great season.
This broadcast is brought to you in part by Willie & Son Trucking. Willie & Son Trucking has been a proud supporter of local student athletes, coaches, and athletic programs throughout its history. Be sure to look out for the Shak Athlete of the Week presented by Willie & Son Trucking each week at SOSAOhio.com.
This is big. Horizon's fiber internet is ready. Let them get you hooked up and power your Wi-Fi network with the speed and reliability that only a 100% fiber network can do. Horizon is ready to help you do what you do better, with real people, a reliable connection, and great customer service. Sign up today for as low as $40.95 a month, plus no contracts and no data caps. Call 740-772-8331 or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe to sign up today.
And welcome back to the Horizon Basketball Tournament Preview Show presented by Ohio Health. We have Uniota head coach Matt Hoops on the call. What's going on, brother? We got him.
We had him.
We lost him.
He gone.
You don't want to talk to us.
Apparently not.
Coach, you hear us?
That's what it is.
He must still be a little angry about his Browns for all we know.
That's probably what it is. I hope he heard
That's cheap.
I hope he did too.
John said that's cheap.
Hey, I'm going to ask him when he gets back on. I hope he's not hearing me as we say.
Is he hearing us now?
Mr. Hoops,
Coach,
can
you
you
with
hear
us?
us?
I can hear you guys.
There he is.
Okay, my guy.
All right,
Hey, easy
Coach.
with the Browns talk.
Coach, what's going on, big guy? How we doing tonight?
Not a whole lot. Just trying to deal with this weather and figure out when we're going to play, where we're going to play, who we're going to play, and I don't know. Just kind of wait and see.
Well, you guys were drawn the 10 seed, going to face Courthouse once again. You guys faced them back on November 30th. Kind of an early season loss for you guys. Maybe not. I don't know how to word it. Maybe you didn't know. Early season losses are kind of difficult. You remember Ohio State wasn't a couple years ago, but they dropped to Virginia Tech like the second week of the season. They go on to win a national title. So, and obviously Rico Coulter and Tanner Lee Master, tough for anybody to guard. Is there a different approach for you guys coming into your second matchup with them?
I think that that feels like it was 10 years ago the last time we played them. Honestly, I feel like our team's really improved since then. I know we've dropped a few here late, but anytime you go on the road in our conference late in the season, second time through, it's going to be tough. I think the first time we played Courthouse, that was our second game of the season with, a whole new group of guys coming in. Basically, none of our guys had started really for us any. So I feel like that, the second time around we'll be maybe a little bit more ready in terms of mentally and physically as to what Courthouse is capable of doing. It was a really difficult early season matchup for us, and we didn't play very well in the first half. But the second half of that game, we were right in it and had the ball late in the fourth quarter, I think, with a minute and a half to go, with a chance to cut it to 2, and weren't able to get it done. So, it's definitely going to be a tough task, but we'll hopefully be ready.
Hey, Coach, I got a couple questions. First, are we ever going back to school?
As of right now, no.
Yeah.
But
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
We'll try it again on Tuesday.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm. Yeah. I think our cameraman is celebrating. I don't think he didn't know.
He had no idea.
The school was out tomorrow.
So we just broke the news for Eric Cox back there, and
It's
he's
breaking
very
news.
excited. We obviously talk all the time, but it's what are you trying to work with this week in practice? Well, obviously with 3 games coming up, what do you do? Like, is there times where you look to incorporate what you're going to try to do for the tournament into these practices coming up, or is it just all hands on deck for this week, and then we just look back at it again next week?
I think that knowing that we're going to have a full week to prepare for Courthouse, we focus on what we're trying to finish the season strong and kind of gain some momentum going into that tournament game. So we'll prepare this week for each of our opponents. The good thing is some of the things that Courthouse does is each of the next 3 opponents that we do a little bit of. So you can incorporate it that way. But, I think we're just going to take the same approach as we always do. The next game is the most important one, and that happens to be Jackson on Tuesday. So we'll prepare for them tomorrow.
Coach, I got a question for you that has nothing to do with basketball. So it's on the basketball tournament preview show. So do Browns fans root for the Bengals this weekend?
Absolutely not.
Come on, throw us a bone.
Man,
here's the correct answer that I've been giving everyone. Last week, I just said I did not want Kansas City to win.
That's fair.
But I'm not rooting for the Bengals.
So you just don't want the Rams to win.
You want a tie. That's
Doesn't
what you want.
the Rams to lose.
I'm not. I don't want.
You just want both
the
teams
Rams
to have
win.
fun.
That's a good answer.
I just hope at the end of the night everyone gets a trophy.
It does have to be cool to be the last coach that beat Joe Burrow in the playoffs. This is Matt Hoops. You know, in the New York Post today, Yoda in the New York Post today. That's pretty cool.
It is. I remember this young guy that was covering that game back then too. So, obviously it's a really cool experience. A lot of our guys on that team were really close to Joe, and I had played AAU with him. So it was kind of a unique experience. And believe me, he did everything he could to try to bring his team back and win that game. And I'll never forget, late in the game, he was rolling, and we were fortunate enough to have a big enough lead. And he was doing everything he could to bring him back. And he dribbled it off his knee, and he started to chase after it, and he kind of let up. And I looked over at our assistant coach, Corey White, at the time, and I said, "We're okay," because I think he had completely run out of gas, and he didn't want to go after that one. And we were able to hang on and win by double figures. But he had whittled it down to about 4 or 5, and it was gas. So,
well, on to this year's team. You guys have, kind of had I guess you could say, an up and down season. It's been a roller coaster ride, and for multiple reasons. When you look at this team, though, we talked about this, really actually early in the year. It was after the Washington Courthouse game. I said, at least your team showed resolve. They showed some fight because, as John mentioned, it's a 4-point game, but it was a 20 to 25-point game in the first half. I think that resolve or perseverance or whatever adjective you want to describe or insert here, that is the name of the game for this year's Unioda Shermans. Is that fair to say? How tough has it been to kind of, I guess, calm every storm that's came your way this year?
Yeah, obviously we faced some things that are a lot bigger than the game of basketball, and that's had an impact on us. Obviously, losing one of our own and Jude Little, that's messed with us a little bit, but we've tried to overcome that just like we have anything else. And really, if you put it in perspective, being down in a basketball game it doesn't seem that big of a deal when you're dealing with like real life that these young men have had to face. And I told you this after the Courthouse game the first time. Our team is made up of a group of guys that just have always won. We've got a lot of youth on our team right now, so they don't know any better. They continue to just keep playing and assume that they're going to come out on the winning end. And it's worked for us sometimes, and sometimes it hasn't. But that's the nature of it when you're playing some younger guys mixed in with our seniors that we've asked to do a lot more than they've had to in the past. And like I said, some nights it's worked and some nights it hasn't, but our effort's been there every single night, no matter what.
It's like, Coach, just coming into the season, you guys pretty much had just, a brand new starting 5, not a ton of varsity experience, but you guys have still been able to rattle off, 11 wins up to this point. You have a winning record, which really speaks, not only to just the job that you guys do as a coaching staff, but also to the players, kind of for the buy-in process. Can you just talk about just how you've just seen that, kind of come together, at stretches this season, and where are you guys at as a team for where you guys are right now to where you want to be?
Well, I think, it's, I don't know, winning, I guess winning breeds winning. And these guys have come up through the program, forever. It's to a point now where I've coached so long at Unioda that these guys, weren't even in elementary school when I was coaching basketball. So they've definitely been through the entire program. And these, they've seen teams before them, and obviously they want to emulate that. And we're where we are now is nowhere where we need to be to make a tournament run in terms of just our consistency offensively, and we've got to just continue to improve our defense. I felt like last year that was one of the things, or that was the main thing that allowed us to win the district title. Was our team defense was one of the best I've ever coached. We in that tournament run we made, I think every team we played, we held them in the 30s, and that's including the Sales, who went on to play for a state championship. So defensively, we're nowhere near where we need to be, and then offensively, I think we just need to continue to be more consistent and play through guys like Deshaun Branson and Evan Park, and allow all the other guys to kind of play off of them.
Coach, you have two sons on the team, Newton and Blake. Newton, Blake, in a game of 21, who wins?
I still win.
It's always the great answer. That's always the great answer.
Until we have to play. I mean, I don't know. Those two, they've probably passed me up, obviously, but I still like to think that I'm going to win. Yeah, it's been pretty cool. So
now you, Newton, and Blake, who wins in just a batting contest?
Oh, gee, I win that. I still win that. Yeah. No, I still win that.
I had to go with the sport I know they don't play right now. So
yeah,
I'm still working on them.
I know. Unfortunately, they've gone away from baseball, which is kind of disappointing because it was really fun watching them play while they did, and it's just I guess one of those things where they love other things and they dedicate themselves to those things, and unfortunately, baseball is fallen by the wayside, but maybe one day they'll get back into it.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking some time out of your Sunday night to take a little talk with us. Good luck in your matchup. I think you said they have Jackson
on
close
Tuesday.
Out the regular season.
Then we got
we go. Go ahead, John.
I was to say we got Jackson Tuesday, then we got Huntington Friday and Westfall Saturday.
And
those two are at home.
Okay. And the Jackson one's at Jackson.
At Jackson.
All right. Well,
my favorite trip. Yep. Hey, the ice storm came before the trip. There was a year we went down there, and where were you guys at, Coach? Were you guys in Richmondale?
Yeah, I don't know where we were. We were currently either winless or a 1-win team, and the ice was bad. And I just told the bus driver, you know what? Let's just turn around, delay this. So we turned around. Unfortunately, Coach Bruce and Coach Roll were already down there, and we went back home and went down to Jackson maybe a week or two later and took our medicine. But wasn't worth dying over. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that bus ride back was not fun. That took Jackson's never like an easy road back, and that was like an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I won't forget that.
All right, Coach. Well, we appreciate you talking to us tonight, and good luck with the rest of your season.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yep.
And that brings us to our next segment, which is Who's on Upset Alert in the boys' side. I'll go first for, I believe, the first time tonight. I'll keep it with Yoda. Or sorry, no, that's my next thing. I'll keep it in the SVC, though, with Southeast, number 20 seeded Southeastern over number 13 Megs. Southeastern been kind of hot. John, obviously a 52-41 win over Yoda, I believe, last week.
It was last when we actually got to play. The weekend before, whenever that was. It felt like COVID this week where we didn't get to do anything.
No, that's true.
Yeah. So the last time we played.
I feel like I haven't covered a basketball game in like 6 weeks. You know what I mean?
But obviously, Ethan Carroll, 13.2 points per game. I didn't check. I can right now. I believe he's the leader in steals per game, or pretty close. Yeah, 3.5 steals per game for Carroll. And really, every year in the NFL, there's the thing, and it's usually in like a big circle where it's, this team beat this team. Well, they beat them. So, obviously the Jets are the best team in the NFL or whatever. And
that was a shot
Good
at the Bengals.
God.
That was a shot against the Bengals.
Well, the Jets also beat the Bills.
That's
least.
fair.
The Jaguars beat the Bills.
Yeah. See, they'd have lost to the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Well, they
almost did.
You had that game.
You're getting off subject again.
But I'm kind of using that logic a little bit here. Is Southeastern beat Vinton County 56-50, and Megs lost to Vinton County 61-50. So. It's a little simple math there for my pick, but, I think Southeastern's got a chance.
And now, Megs did beat them earlier.
Did they play?
Yeah, they played late December. Now,
I did not see that on there.
Southeastern was down 2 of their 3 senior starters that game. So they were very, very undermanned for that game. So, this will be a different matchup for them. That's not a fun trip.
Yeah.
I've been to Pomeroy.
Yep.
It's a beautiful school, beautiful area. I don't really want to go there. I'm sure Southeastern is
sure.
pumped about going there. But, yeah, with Carroll
Corcoran.
and Corcoran. Luke Corcoran's really came on the second half of the year. Connor Smith does a really good job of kind of facilitating for them. And then actually I believe it's Travis Chenault, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's the one
Travis
that's currently.
Chenault.
Yeah, Travis Chenault had a really big weekend last weekend for them, scoring the basketball, and RJ Cartwright has really had a nice year for them, rebounding the ball. So they're solid. I mean, they're better than the record says. I mean, they put it to us. That game could have probably been more, but they were just like, hey, we got this one, so we're going to dribble out some time. So it didn't look as bad, but it was, that was butt kicking.
Yeah.
And they've done that to a couple teams. They beat Vinton County, like you said. They beat Alexander. That's, if Meigs comes in thinking, hey, we beat these guys pretty handily, Southeastern's going to take them to school.
Maybe in for a long night, sure.
I guess I probably should have used SVC Sports Talk for the.
That's all good.
I was looking on Max Preps, and they don't even have them playing Meigs on the schedule. So.
Oh, Max Preps, I could have updated a score on there.
Yeah.
Unless you're use the Uniota one. The Uniota one's great
Okay.
because I update it because I literally have nothing else to do.
Speaking about updating the team that played today, Waverly.
Yeah.
They're on my upset alert. They, first of all, they have to, if they win their first round game, they're going to have to play Warren. If the seeds play out, Warren's a good team. Braden Sally is. Am I saying that right? 6'4".
Beat Warren last year in the district final.
Trent Taylor. I mean, we talked about Warren earlier. Playing against Courthouse and took 40 from Rico Golder for Courthouse to beat them. I mean, they're a real deal. They beat Chillicothe by 26. They beat Jackson by 23. 2-point win over Logan. So they're no slouch. But if they win that game, and again, if the seeds work out, they're going to have to play Fairfield Union. And John, you talked about Fairfield Union earlier. We talked about Hara and Smeltzer and Rolls, and you look at that team, and it's a balanced team. Their top 4 scores: 10.9, 9.7, 9.6, 7.6 points per game. That's the definition of balance. Now, I know that you're going to have to guard Trey Robertson. I know that you're going to have to contain that talent. And Braylon Robertson, Wade Futhy, Mark Stully, Hudson Kelly can all shoot the 3. They can all score. And, oh, by the way, we got a kid named Will Futhy that can play in the post, and he's pretty dang good. So I'm not saying Waverly's going to lose either of those games, but if they don't play, I mean, they got to come out and play. Both of those teams create matchup problems for Waverly, I feel like. And we've seen Waverly get to a district title or a district final or late in the tournament and kind of, maybe lose focus or however you want to say it before, maybe drop the ball a little bit. So this team is, I'm talking to Travis Robertson, I mean, this team is a team that they think that can really go to a regional final or even maybe go to the Final Four here in Division II, but they're going to have to play at a consistent level. And I think that if they don't, Warren or Fairfield Union, could knock out the top seed.
Now, what I like about Waverly is, it's obviously Trey Robertson, and you know that a lot of their plays are going to go through them. It's not everything. Not everything goes through Trey, and even if it does, he does enough stuff and has really good vision to where these other guys can score it. So I think with Waverly, they've got a chance where, Mark Stolly, that dude, he can play on the offensive end. Doesn't have to. But he can knock down some shots if he need to. Penn Morrison and Wade Futhy both can really shoot it from the outside, give them a couple of different aspects. They have lost the last 2 years to Warren in the tournament. Once was a district semi, then once was a district final. So, they've got some revenge going there. Warren actually earlier when they lost the Courthouse, Rico just went nuts. I mean, you put up 40, you're going to go nuts. But the time where he slowed down a little bit, Warren put a freshman on him, which I'm sorry I can't remember his name at this time. Didn't play a whole lot. Has started to make his way back into the rotation for them. Is an outstanding defensive player, and I would guess he would get the
nod.
Yeah, the nod on Trey, and that's obviously very tough for anybody. But they've worked their way back into being prepared. Fairfield Union is kind of that Fairfield Union team that we've seen the last few years, a lot down at the Convo, where they're huge. They're huge, and that's not a great matchup for Waverly, or Logan Elm, because it could be Logan Elm as well.
Yep.
All of those teams outstandingly coached. I think Coach Robertson does an awesome job down there at Waverly. Those are going to be some really fun games.
Can we talk? How does Trey Robertson not have an offer yet? I believe the last time I talked to Coach Robertson, he doesn't have a college offer. He's the best scorer in our area. Probably, I mean, one of them at least, right?
Yeah,
doesn't have enough. So if you're a college out there and you're looking for a player that can just absolutely put the ball in the bucket,
that's the guy.
Give Trey Robertson a call. You're getting a steal.
I know he's undersized, but that dude, he can play defense.
Oh yeah,
he's a good facilitator.
And he's a great passer. I mean, well, a better passer this year than he has been in years past.
Now, I think
Travis said that's a big part of the game that he's worked on.
I think a lot of people see, like, in the past, he's been kind of a volume shooter where, he's going to get going, but might have to get him a few shots to get going. Like, it's not the same now. Like, he's not going to just take 8 to 10 threes because he can.
Right.
He's going to get to the basket. And that's where his game is involved, and he's so strong. Like, for his size, that dude is really well put together, strong, very athletic. I think, somebody's going to get a steal.
Well, and you mentioned defensively, if Warren or Fairfield Union can pull off that upset, they're going to have to play defensively. Waverly played today. They played Colonel Crawford, which is the
number 1 team in
Division 3.
It was their 62nd straight win.
They lose
regular season win.
They held Waverly today to 23 points.
2 points in the first half.
So I mean, and that's that's unheard of for a Waverly offense. That. But again, if they want to get to a regional final, to a state semifinal, like they've talked about, they can't score 23 points. They're going to have to find other ways to put the ball in the basket. Brock, your upset pick.
My upset pick. Well, upset alert, I guess I should say.
Sure.
I'm putting Logan Elm on upset alert. So John, for all the points that you mentioned, I mean, obviously, this is not the typical, Logan Elm team that we had been accustomed to seeing, the past, I don't know, let's say give or take, 3 to 5 years or so, where they kind of have, one outstanding player, but everyone else, they can contribute, as well. It's not quite the same. Tanner Holbert is an outstanding player. Braylon Baker is one heck of a player as well. But the problem is, at least from the games that I have seen them, and just the scores that I've seen as well, they don't have that balance. So typically, it's Tanner scoring 20, 25, 30 points. I believe a couple weeks ago he had 35 points and they scored 42 as a total. Mm-hmm. So what that tells me is that they rely on him so much, but it can also be to a fault. And Hillsborough, they're a little bit of the opposite. They don't have that one go-to guy. They just have a collection of guys who just play hard, and they just let the game come to them, and they just continue doing the dirty work until it is advantageous for them to get their points. Quentin Captain, Hunter Price, these guys haven't quite been there before, but they understand the moment, and especially with them, losing, that first round game last year, I think they want to come on the road. And I think they have the makings to pull off an upset just as long as they can as long as they can contain Holbert somewhat. I think they have a really good chance to pull off the upset.
Yeah, I obviously I like that pick with what I talked about earlier. Holbert is dynamic scoring wise.
Yeah.
But like you said, they rely on him so heavily. Like they had a player and Dewey enjoyed this on Tuesday where we were talking St. Trace and Paint Valley, and I said Braden Jarrell wasn't an offensive threat, and then dude immediately just buries a 3, showing, hey, like I can do this. Logan Elm had the time I've seen them play had 2 players who would not shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a kid who got an offensive rebound right at the rim, dribbled it back out. Like they've got to have those guys contribute a little bit if they want to make the run that they are thinking they're going to make, because they're still pretty young. A lot of juniors. It's a really good junior class. They've done a lot of winning. But if they rely solely on one player, it's going to be really hard for them to beat a good Hillsborough team.
And you keep
I
going.
was going to say, I still have my upset.
Yeah.
Oh, have you not gone yet?
No, I have not gone.
I thought we've been doing like you go and we go.
No,
we've been mixing orders all night.
Derek jumped in. He stole my thunder.
Will we have the same game?
No.
Okay.
No.
The same
hey,
sure.
It's probably good.
This is for my dudes out in Clarksburg at LeBaron James.
Okay.
Easily the greatest name for an establishment on earth.
Totally fair.
Appreciate you guys watching, by the way.
What is it, like a bar or something?
No, it's literally a barn, and they called it LeBaron James. They have T-shirts.
I like it.
I might have to get a T-shirt.
Oh, dude, it's awesome. So, team I'm putting on upset alert: 9-seeded Wheelersburg.
Sure.
They face the 25th seed Adina. Now you might say 25 versus 9, like it's not a good matchup. Well, Adina has been playing much improved since really since the turn of the year, the new year in 2022. They've been playing well. They're really young. Jody Ader, Bryson Smith, both sophomores. Davis Kearns, a junior. Andrew Vickers, another junior. Cheese Brew, a senior that contributes. Britton, another one. They've got some hard-nosed kids that'll guard you. At times, they've struggled to score, but then they pushed Unio to overtime. I won't say anything else on that because,
what an ending that was.
Right.
Sure.
So, probably should have won the game. Full disclosure, I'll say that. Probably should have won the game. But then the next night, they host St. Trace.
And give them everything.
Yeah, gave them everything they wanted. Lost by 4.
54-50 or
54-50. Yeah. So they are playing well right now. Jody Ader, Davis Kearns, each over 10 points a game, and both can shoot it from the outside. Both can get to the hoop. Davis more of a shooter than Jody is. But Bryson Smith has taken over the point. Has done a really good job of being solid. They're a good athletic team. I think, Wheelersburg, since Josh Clark's returned, has been playing better. Mm-hmm. So if Clark was out, I would say I'd be 1,000,000%. I would say I'm not betting money because that's illegal, but I'm betting Sprites.
Sure.
I'll bet you Sprites that Adina is for sure going to win. I don't know if they're for sure going to win, but they are going to give Wheelersburg one heck of a game. It's going to be down at Wheelersburg. Like I said, Adina really young. They went through a lot of growing pains this year. I think they're a well-coached team. I think Coach O'Laker's got them going in the right direction. They've heard that Adina wasn't going to win after that great senior class of Bennett and Garrison, Throckmorton,
Sykes.
Thank you. They've heard that when those guys left, they weren't going to be able to compete. Well, they've really, worked at it. They've got themselves in a really good position. And it's a long shot, but that's what an upset is.
And with that, that'll bring us to the end of our upset alert segment here on the boys' side. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Medford head coach Josh Shoemaker will be on the call. We'll be back after this.
This is big. Horizon's fiber internet is ready. Let them get you hooked up and power your Wi-Fi network with the speed and reliability that only a 100% fiber network can do. Horizon is ready to help you do what you do better, with real people, a reliable connection, and great customer service. Sign up today for as low as $40.95 a month, plus no contracts and no data caps. Call 740-772-8331 or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe to sign up today.
This broadcast is brought to you in part by Willie & Son Trucking. Willie & Son Trucking has been a proud supporter of local student athletes, coaches, and athletic programs throughout its history. Be sure to look out for the Shak Athlete of the Week presented by Willie & Son Trucking each week at SOSAOhio.com.
Hey, it's Mike Glockner from the Glockner family of dealerships. With all the traveling that you're going to be doing this holiday season, we made servicing your vehicles as easy as possible. With our new online scheduling tool, you can schedule your oil change in less than 60 seconds. Visit Glockner.com, select Schedule Service, select the services that you need, and pick your arrival time. We'll even send you a text reminder. It's that simple. Have a great season.
This presentation of Southern Ohio Sports Authority, presented by Ohio Health, is brought to you by North Fork Animal Clinic, Haller Funeral Home, Schmidt Family Restaurant Group, Ohio Valley Bank, Shane Meyer State Farm Insurance, Neil Coleman Insurance, Homeland Credit Union, Bo Lacey Construction, Roman Family Healthcare, Haynes Total Healthcare Center, Terrell Farrow ERA Martin, Willie & Son Trucking, Glockner Family of Dealerships, Megan Carroll State Farm Insurance, Longhorn Steakhouse, Ohio Health, and Horizon.
And welcome back into the Horizon Basketball Tournament Preview Show, brought to you by Ohio Health. We have Minford head coach Josh Shoemaker on the call. Coach, how you doing tonight?
Hey, guys. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I think the rest of us are doing good as well. And, you know, I just want to start things off by saying Miles Montgomery might be the most impressive freshman I've ever seen play basketball, at least for me. I mean, I watched the game down at Waverly, and, you know, there are upperclassmen getting rebounds, and they won't give anybody else but Miles Montgomery the ball. And, you know, he's got to be averaging, you know, well over, 15 or so points. I mean, I know he had 22 or so in the game against Waverly. You guys, the 1 seed of bye right now, going to face either Wellston or Oak Hill. So, you know, what's your guys' mindset heading into really a matchup with either of those teams?
Yeah, as you mentioned too, with Miles, great year. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But yeah, he's averaging right about, I think, 21 points a game. Trenton Zimmerman's right there about 21, 22. So they both shot it. But I think a little more impressive is their field goal percentage. It's been really high this year. 3-point, 2-point free throws. They've taken really good shots and made them, and, you know, credit their teammates getting them the ball. They move the ball well, extremely unselfish. And, you know, as you mentioned, though, now we're the 1 seed, the target's on our back. So we're looking at Oak Hill and Wellston, and, you know, Oak Hill with Coach McInnes and Jimmy Sloan and Michael Hale do a great job there, and their kids always play hard. You know, good post play inside, as you guys mentioned earlier. You know, they really want to get it inside, but their guards have been doing a good job of scoring lately, hitting shots. They played earlier in the season, thanks to live streams. We can watch a lot of games online now. You don't have to go drive 2 hours to watch to see a game in person. So we were able to watch that on the Wellston TV channel up there, and you know, it was a good matchup. And then Wellston's got their best player back since then, so, you know, they played good ball towards the end. But Oak Hill's had a couple big wins late, beat Northwest last week, so, you know, that'll be a really good first round matchup to who we're going to play in the sectional final.
Coach, just, you know, going back to Miles and, you know, Zimmerman, with your guys' dynamic, how nice is it to have, you know, the two guys that can really go get it, but also to have the unselfish teammates that really know, you know, well, you know, they can knock down shots or they can score it inside, to have those two guys that they can go to as your go-to players.
It compensates our coaching this year. You know, I mean, they overcome the liability on the sideline. No, it's I think it's the perfect mix of, you got two guys who can shoot it, and, you know, if we were having to scream and yell that these two guys should be getting the most shots, then we wouldn't be where we're at. Those guys know. Adam Crank's really stepped up here lately, hits a lot of shots, another real high percentage 3-point. And we have to tell him to shoot the ball, because a lot of times his answer is, well, they got a better shot than me. So just unselfish play, finding guys and moving the ball. And, you know, they've done a good job of not forcing shots and just taking what the defense gives them. And sometimes that might be a quick transition trip, or it might be a, you know, possession the last 20, 30 seconds till we get that high efficiency shot. So they've just done a great job.
Well, Coach, you mentioned Adam Crank, and I don't care what sport I watch Adam play. He's just he's the definition of leader. That's kind of how I would label him, just you know, from an outsider's perspective. Yeah, how much does he do for your team in a leadership perspective? And, you know, how much do those younger kids, we mentioned Miles, but how much do all of the freshmen and sophomore kind of look up to him and, you know, want to kind of take what he's doing and capitalize on it?
Yeah, and you hit it again. You know, he's that kind of the locker room leader a lot of times, where if we might not be having good practice, rather than me have to jump on him quick, Adam might be saying, let's go, wake up, come on, we're not very good. Or in the locker room, you know, we're in there talking, no one gets dressed. Well, if anybody's even on time to shoot, Adam's going to be like, focus. So he's always, and no matter what sport, he's a great baseball player, great soccer player. And, going to, tournaments, nothing new for, those groups. Baseball was at regionals last year, and soccer won a district title. So he's been on each of those teams and, is now bringing it to the basketball, try to, bring us to that next level.
We mentioned Miles Montgomery, and I heard a story from Mike Glockner that Miles gets up before, pretty much all the rest of his family, helps on the farm, then comes to the gym early and puts up shots, and then goes to school before, obviously a full day of school and basketball. I mean, how ridiculous is that?
Well, it's not all the way true, though. See, Aaron is our JV coach, Montgomery. We've coached this group of boys since they were in kindergarten. My son's Aaron, Cade, my stepson, and Courtney's, or Mike's son. And what's funny is since kindergarten, we've always, coached these guys, and we kind of see them now. Well, when Miles got in high school, he does get up and shoot about 6 in the morning, but he's not doing any farm work. Aaron, his dad and JV coach, is doing the extra farm work, so Miles can go to the gym and shoot. So, yeah, Miles might get some work in the farm in the summer or, after school. But during basketball season, he's not on that farm. So he might
extra credit.
On Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, if he has a bad shooting night, he might be.
Well, Coach, you guys have had, just such a fantastic season. I know that you guys, you had high expectations, coming into this year, and I think you guys have, exceeded or maybe, superseded, everything that, you guys had set for yourselves. Obviously, not winning, the SOC, that was probably the one thing that you would hope to guys, we're hoping to obtain to do. But just getting the top seed, what is kind of just that feeling like, and I mean, knowing that you guys have that target on your back, being the top seed, what's kind of just the message that you deliver, to your guys, as you finish out the season and begin to head into tournaments.
Yeah, I think coming in, this summer, with these freshmen coming up, some of them play, and our JV's currently undefeated, and we got Miles, of course, up there, but we also had a lot of our numbers were really good this summer. We had about 40 games, and Trenton Zimmerman really just put the time in. And we haven't talked a lot about Trenton, our best player. He's averaging over 10 rebounds a game. Really done some great things this year. But this summer, he took another level, got in the gym, and got these younger guys together. And we were able to go to Eastern Ohio, Larry Huggins camp, able to play at Jackson League, able to go to all these shootouts with our guys from this summer. So that made it, kind of go into the season. But honestly, we didn't know what we'd be. We knew Waverly was the favorite. We knew we had a good group, a good summer. But, with this team chemistry and how well they've shared the ball and how well they've all just connected and played hard, we kind of really haven't focused on it. It's been a fun season. It's gone so fast. We lost 2 of our first 6, and then we were able to beat Waverly, kind of just get back in the race. And I think we won, 12 out of 13. And we're kind of just one game at a time, focusing on it. And, kids are working, having fun. We're in the gym today for about an hour and a half, and they didn't have to be there. Sunday we opened up to shoot, and they're all there. So it's a good group of kids. And I know they're going to compete, and, we're just going to take it a game at a time like we have all year.
I got one more question for you, Coach. You mentioned the SOC, and I don't want to bring up bad memories, but that loss to Waverly, we talked about that, was obviously a heartbreaker. But maybe what was most impressive to me that night, and I'm speaking on the night you guys beat Northwest, what was most impressive to me, all three, Adam and Adam and Trenton at least, they both said that, and Devin, they all said that that loss, maybe it brought them together. Maybe it kind of said, hey, here's the stopping point for losses on the year. Let's go from here. Is that kind of, this team, was that a turning point in the year for you guys?
I think they realized how much losing hurts, because going into the game, if you say we're playing Waverly to, go first place, we're going to have a shot at the very end of the game to win it, I said, I'll take it. And, it was a very tough loss. We led most of the game right till the very end. Waverly made a couple plays. We didn't, and we got beat. But usually after a loss, sometimes depending on what kind of loss it is, if it's a bad loss, we might make them sit in the locker room and stew on it for 15, 20 minutes. And that, for a teenager, just absolutely kills them rather than going there and screaming or something right away. This one, I told our coach, I said, let's go in. We competed. And you go in and you could just feel it. The kids they put it on themselves. Didn't have to say a lot. You could just tell they were hurt. And we got beat by a great team. And luckily we said don't let one loss turn into two. So we, played Northwest next Tuesday, had a great home game. You were there, and we just kept battling and just took that loss and tried to. I think we did come back, a little better out of it.
Coach, how nice is it for you guys in the SOC2 to be able to go into a few different divisions? So where, like, you guys, we'll just say, you guys, South Webster, Valley, Waverly. I know Valley and South Webster are in the same division this year, but how nice is that for you guys to have a chance to have the ultimate kind of league pride moving forward, and how well does that prepare you for that tournament run?
No, definitely. It's good to play up and down divisions as long as we're, getting good games in. But then the key is how competitive the league was this year. Seeing kind of Eastern Pike kind of surprised a lot of people starting out. And then, West had a couple of real good wins now. Willersburg and Coach Ader's guys have really played great. I think they're kind of the surprise team because of everything they lost. And now they're winning more toward them than they were at the beginning. So, credit to them. And, Valley and Webster have had really, really good D4 years this year. Each of them beat us. We split with them. And then you go out and play Waverly D2 with, Travis and Mark and Will. And, we've never beat them until this year. So our seniors, finally got them once, but they're just going to make us better in the long run.
And, Coach, we appreciate you talking to us tonight, and good luck with the rest of your season.
Well, guys, appreciate you guys. Really, I think Southern Ohio, the kind of advantage we have over some of the bigger cities is you guys really promote the kids, and people kind of get to know teams and stories about people they've never seen. So appreciate you guys and promoting our kids.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
All right, see ya.
What a guy.
I love that dude. I really do. Like, he's one of my favorite coaches. Every time we go to Menford, he gives us everything we need. I mean, just an awesome person, awesome coach. I can see why his kids are
he makes us the priority.
Yeah, it's really cool. So he's a really good dude. And he's got a really good group of kids there. We talk about the top seeds, the top players, or top teams in our area. Menford's right out there.
We watched them. Well, we also saw them beat us bad this summer down at Jackson. We had some different dudes then, and they really put it to us, and we could see from then, like, that team's going to be real tough.
You were the first one that pointed out Miles Montgomery. It was during soccer season, if you remember. It was during the district final. Peoples, I believe. You're like, hey, that Montgomery kid, he's going to be really good. I'd heard his name a little bit. Now he's, after Trey leaves, after Robertson leaves, he's kind of like passing the torch to this next best shooter, you know what I mean? Like,
with how good Eli Roberts is for Southwestern, and from what I had heard was that Miles was even better. I'm like, that says a lot.
Yeah, that's because something.
Because if you haven't seen Eli Roberts for Southwestern, that
he's
dude,
tough.
He's going to be tall, long, and can really score it. And Miles is just super dynamic.
Well, I'd say Coach Shoemaker probably looking at his chops, thinking about going to have this kid for now would be 3 more years after this season.
And that JV team being undefeated.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yep.
Moving down the list, Brock. You got a Cinderella pick for us on the boys' side?
Cinderella pick. I'm going Westfall.
Good pick.
I think we all three had.
I think all four of us had it. So when you just look at their draw, them getting a 10 seed, and then you see who they could potentially match up with, which would be the 7 seed Alexander, assuming that the seeds work out. It's a very, very favorable matchup for them. Even traveling to Alexander. Yes, Alexander's Kyler DiAugustino is an incredible talent, dynamic soccer player, one heck of a hooper as well. But Westfall, they just have a knack for just coming together at the right time, at the right moment, and saying, okay, you're not going to get us tonight, we're going to get you. I really think Westfall, they have a chance not only to knock off Alexander, but hang with Fairland. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say they're going to beat Fairland. So obviously, going to Fairland is much different than going to Albany. But I really think that Westfall has a legit chance to do something special.
John, from a matchup standpoint, Casey Klein, just dynamic. From a matchup standpoint, how do you stop that kid from doing what he does?
The thing with Westfall is they're not big. They're not big. But it doesn't matter because they play bigger than they are. They've got different guys that can go do it. Ashton Nunemaker, outstanding point guard.
Yeah.
His shooting's down a little bit from last year, but like that dude will take a charge on any. I watched him last year take a charge on a dude from Amanda Clear Creek that there's no way he wasn't 300 pounds, and he just took it. like sometimes you'll see guys that take a bunch of charges and maybe they don't take it. Like Carissa Wheeler for Uniota girls, like will take a charge and will not flop. Nunemaker's one of those kids.
Yeah.
Tyler Shipley, he can guard anybody for the entire game and then just dribble around you the rest of the time because he's a state cross country kid.
Yeah.
They've got, and I haven't even mentioned Trevor Wolf. Trevor Wolf's a kid.
Brody Clark.
Yeah, Brody Clark can shoot it from anywhere. Trevor Wolf can go inside, outside. Seth Gifford, a good kid off the bench, has some of their size. They had a team back in 2004, had a player on their team. I actually think it was Brody Clark's dad. Had one player on their team that was over 6'1", 6 foot ish, and barely played in the tournament. And they beat a Lucasville Valley team that had 4 guys start over 6'4". Yeah, and they beat them in the tournament because this is a very similar team to that, where they have some losses, but they can really shoot it. Like you mentioned with Casey Klein, that dude, that cat he can really play. Great shooter. I watched him before we played him in a JV freshman game 3 years ago when he was a freshman. Was there shooting an hour before the freshman game? He didn't play freshman. He didn't play JV. Yeah, and like me and Dewdog over here watched him just putting in work.
Dewdog.
Okay.
I didn't know that. It's new to me.
Never knew that was a thing.
Yeah,
okay.
I coached Dewey for 3 years in basketball. Because what'd you say you were the other day?
What, a JV superstar?
Yeah, JV superstar. So I mean, but
proud of you,
but
Dewey.
Casey Klein is the kid who's put in a ton of work. Is an outstanding player. I think they're a really hard matchup because they can play bigger than what they are.
Sure.
So where like Uniota, Zane Trace both have really big size advantages on them, hasn't mattered, especially up at the Dome. Now, the first round matchup, they're at the Dome against Lynchburg, and Lynchburg has knocked off a couple of SVC schools with Paint Valley and Piketon this year, but both were on the dark court.
The dark court.
Yeah, the dark court down at Lynchburg. So Lynchburg with Coach Carson, who coached at Westfall.
Makes it a nightmare for photography, by the way.
Yes.
Does it have like a dark court or
Oh,
something?
it's all black.
All black and
black.
It's really it's really cool. It's just
it's like kind of like
it's very dark.
It's like a dungeon.
Having a blue.
Yeah.
To the cameras.
Yeah. So the Battle of the Mustangs, I do like Westfall in that matchup. Then like you mentioned, Brock, with going to Alexander, the Alley, tough to play.
Yeah.
They're big. But I like that matchup for Westfall. And then, Fairland, Aiden Porter's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to face really good players along the way. But Fairland, you guys might not have heard this. Nobody may have ever heard this before. Had a kid transfer out halfway through the year.
Really?
As a senior. He's at Huntington Prep now.
Okay.
Their second leading scorer.
Yeah, I saw.
So
I saw that on Twitter. Actually.
Yeah, Fairland is a little more susceptible than maybe a normal Fairland. Now, Coach Speed's awesome. They do a great job. So I mean,
didn't they lose to Ironton last week in overtime?
Yes,
that's what I thought.
So Westfall's route is very nice. They're really well coached. They're a great team. They're a great team,
and that's what you need.
Yeah, and they've got a chance to make a nice little run, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Derek?
I would with Westfall.
Well, maybe they're not a Cinderella if we're all going to say it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I think they've got the best. I mean, that was probably our quickest segue just because we all
we all looked at it and we all knew.
I have, obviously I told, me and Bruce were talking before we came here. I was like, dude, did you pick Westfall for your, because that's who I was going to pick. I didn't even know who you guys were, so I went ahead and wrote another one down. I'll make it quick. Uniota's a 10 seed. I'm not saying
I don't know if Hoops is listening.
Listen,
but he just went, my God.
I'm not dumb enough to make that pick because Hoops would be texting me like, "Come on, man! Like, what do you? That's okay."
I mean, I don't know. I mean, 3 weeks ago, we're talking, or maybe a little bit longer than 3 weeks ago, but I mean, we're talking about Uniota winning a gold ball, and now they're the 10th ranked team in the state in the tournament. I mean, that's, and they're playing a team they played earlier on. 8-point game ended up being 8 points, and it was a lot wider than that in the first half, but towards the end of the game, it was also a lot closer than that.
Sure.
And we've seen Courthouse. They think they dropped both games to Chillicothe, and obviously Chillicothe not play, so I can't do the whole they beat them thing. But the blueprint might, that was the second game of the season. The blueprint might be out there now to get Washington Courthouse, and obviously Uniota dropped a couple along the way as well. So I probably should have done that as my game to look out for, but I'm going with Uniota. I picked 10 seed Chillicothe on the girls' side, so I think 10 seed on the boys' side is good as well.
I mean, to be fair, Uniota won the district as a 7 seed last year.
They were a 7 seed last year,
and should have beat Columbus DeSales.
Yes,
could have beat. Maybe not should have.
We had the ball.
Yes,
and had a chance. Just didn't go our way.
Yep, yep. But, and that's all. That's what you wanted.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Yep.
And I believe I'm going to skip around a little bit. We have a few more segments here. I'm going to go down to the bold prediction part of the boys thing. The winner of the Uniota Washington Courthouse game beats McLean.
That's your bold prediction.
Yep.
Wow.
That
is a bold prediction.
That is bold.
Because McLean's that can't happen. Division 2, but
and both teams, I believe, Courthouse played McLean close, and McLean beat between the 3 matchups, twice against Courthouse and once against Uniota. They won all 3. Courthouse, they played him close twice, I think, and Uniota was like a 15-point game or something. But
the second time with Courthouse and McLean, that was.
Oh, is that what we were talking about?
Yeah, that had some interesting stuff happen. So,
but yeah,
to say the least.
Yeah.
If you guys
just couldn't dance around.
Yeah.
If you guys want to go back to.
We'll stay with
the
bold.
tournament.
Yeah,
all right. Well, that's my. That's what I'll go with.
I'll go next. I'm going to go, and this might be bold because they would have to beat the number 2 team in the state in Trimble in the district final. I'm going to say the Western Indians return to the regionals. They win a district title in D4. They're 17-2. They lost to New Boston, which is I don't.
We don't know.
Yeah,
how.
it happens.
Know. Yeah.
Then they lost to Sims Valley. They haven't been able to play Sims Valley back. Sims Valley, very good team. But all of those wins, but one, were by double digits. And then the 8-point game against Eastern Pike, measly 8-point win. Like, they've been blowing teams out. Yes, they lost the 2 close games they played in, but they've pretty much dominated the rest of their schedule. They played 4 SVC teams. None of those games were close. They play at a great tempo. They guard you hard for every second that you're on offense. They're going to guard you for 94 feet. Some of these courts, 84 feet. They're going to be a tough matchup for anyone in the Southeast District. Federal Hawking and Trimble, both outstanding teams, especially Trimble. Federal Hawking has one of my favorite kids ever in Tyler Rogers on their team. A former Uniota kid, really doing well for himself down at Federal Hawking. So it's good for him. One of the funniest kids you'll ever meet.
Listen, I've never seen a non-quarterback throw it. This kid throw football 70 yards. I promise. I mean, it's and no wind up either. It's like one step, boom.
Yeah,
and we
Michael Vick type stuff.
We tried to run my sophomore year when he was a freshman. We tried to run a trick play against Bloom Carroll in the playoff game. I don't think it worked out, but
it didn't.
It was
all right.
It was a little it was a little end around play where the plan is for
he just rushed it.
Yeah, and I think it was Bird Green running a 50-yard fade down the field, and Ty's just supposed to unload one. And hey, we did score our first playoff touchdown.
That's right.
It wasn't on that play, but
hey, whatever matters.
It
only took 3 years. But going back, and now moving on to Trimble, they have Blake Guffey, who I don't know if he's like 6'1" yet, but that dude hammers.
He is an animal.
Dude is ridiculous.
Also became Trimble's all-time leading scorer a couple
right.
months ago.
So I mean, with Trimble, it's a really tough matchup. and they play similar to what Western will play. Like that could be like the game to, if that's the district final matchup, that might be the best district final of all the games because those two teams really get after you.
And that would be at Southeast.
I don't know where that one is.
Yeah, we don't know yet. No idea.
Oh.
I'm actually going to stay in Division 4 on this one, but I'm going to go to the bottom half of the bracket. So Valley's the 2, South Webster's the 7, Sims Valley is the 3, and Fairfield is the 6. Originally, I was thinking, okay, Valley's going to win this. They were in the district final last year. Every guy is back predominantly. So, I mean, they're rolling. They have a fast tempo. They have figured out their chemistry. Everything's going. But the more and more that I think about it, I'm not exactly convinced that Valley is necessarily a shoo-in to win the district final. So, remember, South Webster beat Valley at Valley just last week or a couple weeks ago. So therefore, split the season series. Although I believe the game would be back at Valley, granted, how much does home court really matter in the tournament, especially when you have conference rivals going against one another and you're so familiar with one another? I'm not saying South Webster would beat them again. I'm just saying that game would be very interesting. With Sims Valley and Fairfield, if the seeds work out, obviously, I think Fairfield's going to make a district final again. I think this would be 3 or 4 straight years that they would make a district final. I don't know how they do it, but they just figure out a way in the tournament to say, okay, we're going to take our game up 3 notches to where no one's ever seen it, and we're just going to find a way to a district final. They did it last year against Trimble. Did it the previous year against Peebles after knocking off New Boston. So there's something. I mean, Reese Teeter's still there. Copen Zink is there. So I'm not convinced Valley is exactly a favorite to win the district final. I don't know who will, but it would not shock me at all if it is not Valley who wins that district.
So is that your bold prediction that Valley doesn't win the title? Because
I think I talked myself.
Doesn't have a bold prediction.
I think I talked myself out of it, but I couldn't convince myself to actually pull the trigger.
That's fair.
So
you're around there.
Yeah, all I'm going to say is just watch the bottom half
around the target.
of that D4 bracket. Just watch the bottom half of it.
I'm going to go to Division 3 and say that Zane Trace wins the district title. I don't know how bold that is, but they're a 4 seed. Now, we just talked to Josh Shoemaker, so if seeds play out again, we're kind of looking ahead here, but they'd have to beat Meigs, Chesapeake, and Minford, okay? They have to me, and John, you know this, one of my favorite players to watch is Xander Ream. He's just fun to watch. We had a SOSA All-Star game last year, and
showed out.
Oh, he did. He threw down in a field full of really good, talented basketball players. So since then, I've kind of had my eye on him, and he's been their kind of go-to player this year.
Yeah.
But then you have the Twin Towers down there, who you just talked to the other night. I love that nickname with Nayland Robinson and Kyle Stone Rock. And then Ben Nichols, man, he just controls everything well.
He averaged like 12 points a game last year. He's down to like 7, but it doesn't matter.
I think he's a better player.
Yeah. They're a better team with him facilitating, and then every once in a while, like he'll just put up a 15-point night, and you're like,
I think against you guys the first time
we
had 16 or something like that.
He's
capable of doing that. And then Carter Hill, by the way, who just kind of keeps on trucking it. One of my, and he knows this, one of my favorite kids just in general. If he's on your team, I don't care if you're playing Tiddlywinks, like this guy is going to come and play tough. He's just tough, tough-nosed kid, and great, just kind of off the bench kind of spark. And then you throw in Trey Edler and Braden Jarrell and Donovan Baker, and you've got a pretty good team on your hands here. So obviously Minford Zane Trace.
That would be
something. I want to see that happen.
That would be something.
You want a stat on Zane Trace has 5 losses. 1 has been in regulation. There's the Bishop Reedy, who was the 2 seed out of the Central.
Which is early in the year.
Yeah. They have lost 4 games in overtime this year. So keep them out of overtime. And I like where you're going. Like you mentioned, the other night, we kept talking about how many steals Carter Hill had. You never know. Like, it might seem like it's a lot. Then I get the stats. I'm like, 7 steals. That's right. That sounds about right.
Sure.
Like, I wasn't keeping track of it at the time. But, like, I didn't want to be like, I think he's got, like, 6 steals. No,
sometimes you get stats. And it's like, there's no way he had, 15 steals. Because we saw it. But you're right. Carter's one of those kids that That's great.
And he comes off the bench, does exactly what his job is. Put him and Gerald bothering you in the backcourt, and like those dudes will just play defense.
Well,
they don't
again, if they're to win the district title, they're going to have to play defense against Miles Montgomery and Trent Zimmerman. But we mentioned the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
Trent Zimmerman's in there with Nalen Robinson and Kyle Stonerock, and even Trey Edler comes off the bench. I mean, he's going to have his work cut out for him.
Johanna's alongside Zimmerman down below as well.
Right.
Devin
I mean,
Parker
it'd be a heck
as
of a
well.
matchup.
So,
and I think it might have been Coach Jeff Miller. It might have been Coach Chris Beard that said it was like the best play in girls basketball for an offensive team is a missed free throw. That might be the best play for the St. Trace boys.
Sure.
Like Robinson and Stonerock will keep the ball alive on missed free throws better than anyone I've ever seen. They will, like, it doesn't matter if they're boxed out. They will get their hand on it because they just go after the ball. Like, those two dudes rebound like crazy. Like, I don't love their draw. I don't think Minford's a great matchup for them, but that team's really
fun to
good.
watch, though. I could say that.
Huh?
Yeah, it would be fun to watch. No doubt.
Talent everywhere on the court, and but that again, I don't know how bold it is, but that would be my bold prediction that St. Trace wins the district title.
Bruce, have you?
Oh, I already went with mine. Mine was Western Indians, bub.
Oh, I forgot.
DC's over here just.
Dude, what are you doing?
I either remember Bruce did it, or I can't remember that
Something
he
with
did.
John, right?
Yeah.
It was that stuff you were doing earlier, man.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I got
gotta write
everyone.
this stuff
I got
down.
everyone off balance
Him, right.
because talking about TLC because we don't chase no waterfalls around here, bub.
Right.
We've got a couple more segments left in tonight's show. One of them being a player you think will have the biggest impact on their team's tournament run. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Brock. Take
All right, I'll go first. My biggest impact player. I'm going to McLean for this one, and I'm going to go with Preston Saunders. So Saunders, he actually started last year, but now this year he's coming off the bench, and honestly, I think it's made them a better team for it. Not because he's not starting, not because he isn't a good player. He's a fantastic player, but his energy off the bench and just him being able to come in, cause havoc defensively, and then offensively, you can give him the ball. He can beat you off the dribble, but the one thing about him is that he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He won't turn the ball over. They're very smart with their shot selection. They don't take very many bad shots at all. It's a huge reason of why they are the 2 seed. Not to mention Saunders being a senior. I think there's 10 of them on McLean's team. So I'm going with Preston Saunders as my player to watch. I think he can be the difference between them getting knocked out in a sectional final and them making it to a regional semifinal.
He's a very heady player.
I'll follow that up with a kid that we've already talked about in Tanner Lamaster from Washington. Obviously, Tanner when they haven't had Tanner, he's had a back injury some this year. When he hasn't been on the court, they're a completely different team. Mm-hmm. And so when they do have him on the court, they're a completely different team. If that makes sense. We talked about earlier at Unyota when he made that difference. Right a couple weeks after that, they played McLean at Courthouse, and during the first half, when Tanner was on the court, they had a lead. He didn't play in the second half; they ended up losing that game. So, just obviously, when you're 6'6", 240 pounds, or whatever, straight muscle,
dude's a monster.
Right? You're going to have an impact. But if he's not on the court, I feel much better about your Cinderella pick. I feel much better about my upset pick. When he is on the court, they're as dangerous as they come.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll go next with my impact player. I'm going to go with Will Futhy on the Waverly Tigers. Not only a basketball player, Lee Master, another great football player. He's got double-digit D1 football offers. Futhy, I believe, has 7 Division I football offers. Right, 6'5", big guy for Waverly. I believe, John, if you remember. Oh, you didn't do that game with me. It was Tyler that was there at Minford, or at the Waverly-Minford game. Zimmerman went up for, I think, would have been a game tying or to bring it to 2, and it was a big block there by Futhy, and I think that's something that Futhy's going to have to, because, I think Zimmerman had, a good amount of points that game, and I think something for Futhy that he's going to have to do is get, I don't know if aggressive is the word, but, try to get a little better in the paint on defense. Obviously you have Trey Robertson, who's, I put over 1,700, but I honestly think it's over 1,800 now. And I would say Futhy's more than likely Waverly's second leading scorer, their lead guy inside. as he's probably their biggest guy, I would assume. And, one play that I've seen Waverly, and I've seen Waverly twice now, and I've probably seen him run it 4 or 5 times probably in both games, is this like backdoor lob pass they run. And, it usually is Robertson to Futhy, but in the Minford game, I think I don't think Futhy threw the pass, but somebody threw a backdoor lob pass to Trey Robertson. But I just think for Waverly, in order for them to succeed, obviously you're going to get a good amount of points from Robertson every night. I don't know what he had tonight against, I don't even know.
Not many of them scored because they didn't score much.
But for Futhy, I just think he's going to have to get a little bit more inside. I don't even know. Does he knock down 3-point shots? I mean,
he can.
He
can. He's not a big 3-point shooter, but he can shoot it. Now, I'll give you a fun Will Futhy fact. We scrimmaged them the first scrimmage when they were freshmen. Futhy and Stolley started at the JV scrimmage. They played about 2 quarters and then were no longer with JV. I don't think they ever played again.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, they were so much better. They were so much better when those two were on the court in JV than when they weren't. But yeah, he was also my pick for biggest impact player because a lot of the things you said, and they're going to need him because if you look at that district semifinal matchup with Warren, it would be Braden Sally who's scoring close to 25 a game for Warren. He's a guy that can go inside out, and they need Futhy's ability to guard to do it that way. And I think with a different matchup with Fairfield Union, with Smeltzer and Hera, he's going to have to guard a variety of different players that way as well. He's going to have to score. Obviously, Trey Robertson is the one you look at on their team. Stolley does a lot of really good things for them. But for them to make the as deep of a run as they want to make, Futhy's going to have to be that guy.
I completely agree with you, and not to mention a few weeks ago when they played Valley, Valley jumped out on them real quick. Obviously, Waverly, they kind of made their comeback, but it was powered by Futhy. Just getting aggressive with the ball. So I think he had 2 points a half. He finished the game with 18 points and 11 rebounds. So he can have that type of impact. It kind of just comes down to can he just will himself to do it? No pun intended. But if he can do that, Waverly has a really good chance, to win that district title.
And that'll bring us to the final segment of tonight's show. It's we're going to name one surefire district title winner in each division, boys or girls. Bruce, you want to
start Division 2?
Start Division 2.
Okay. 2 to 4. I'll be honest. I only have.
I'm going to go.
Are you going boys or girls first?
It can be boys or girls.
It can be boys or girls.
Okay, got it.
I'm going to Tiger Town. Waverly Tigers.
Waverly Tigers.
For boys or girls?
Boys.
I'm going to also go to Tiger Town and go McLean Tigers.
They don't have a sign that says Tiger Town.
That's fair. But I'm going to take McLean. I'm going to take McLean.
I'm going to the Shak, and I'm going on the girls' side. I'm going with Eastern Brown.
D2.
D2.
Thank you for
my apologies.
giving us your D3.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now they know. D2, I'm also going to go with McLean. There's just too many seniors, too deep. They'll figure it out.
I'm going to
well, hold on.
Do you have? I thought you didn't. I didn't know if you had them or not.
No.
Well, no, you had one in D2.
Yeah.
You went out of district.
We're just all right. I'll go D2 and I'll go with Sheridan. I mean,
girls,
sure,
girls.
Okay.
I mean, 15-3 on the year, and the number 2 seed in that same bracket they beat 61-35.
Yeah, Fairfield Union. That's a really good team.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Sheridan for Division 2.
I was going to go there, but I don't want to upset my Cinderella pick.
That's fair.
I had that.
Advantageous.
I had that with somebody with Chillicothe, who I don't have the bracket pulled up anymore, but I was going to pick whatever bracket Chillicothe, but then I was like, I can't do that. I got Chillicothe going all the way. So
yeah.
Well, I'm going to follow up Brock's in D3, and I also have Easter Browns girls. I think they win district title there.
You want me to go? D3, I got Wheelersburg girls. I mean, 16-0 on the season. I mean,
Dog.
That doesn't happen by accident.
I believe if Wheelersburg and Eastern Brown would win, they would not play each other.
No.
Think Wheelersburg would
have Wheelersburg would face
Island or
no, they would
Union
face
local,
the Union local,
and then Eastern.
So the winner of the East, and then
sure.
Well, it's 2 East.
Oh, it's 2
yeah.
East.
So it'll be Union local and probably Highland.
Okay,
right.
Because it's always Berlin Highland. Now for D3, mine is Wheelersburg girls.
Division 4.
Division 4, we're staying on the girls.
Either one.
Oh, either one. Okay. Either one. Well, I already said Southwestern girls.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna stick with it. Southwestern girls.
I'm gonna go with Valley's boys. I know John touched on that earlier, but I think they win district title in Division 4.
I'm going Valley Indians.
See, I was going to go with Valley, but I'm going to be different.
You still can.
He said I want to be different.
I'm going to roll.
We're pretty smart fellas. I mean,
I'm going to roll with my boy Tyler and go Federal Hawking.
All right.
Okay.
All right. I like it.
We're going to go out on a limb.
That's a bold prediction.
Yeah, that one is.
I don't know if that's surefire, but I like it.
Yeah.
Let's go Tyler Rogers.
Yeah, right. The fighting Tyler Rogers is.
And
not the Lance.
Somewhere Tyler Rogers is like, I had no idea I was being talked about this much on this show.
And that will bring us to the conclusion of tonight's show. I'd just like to give a quick thank you to our sponsors, which includes North Fork Animal Clinic, Howler Funeral Home, Schmidt Family Restaurant Group, Ohio Valley Bank, Shane Meyer, Neil Coleman Insurance, Homeland Credit Union, Bo Lacey Construction, Roman Family Healthcare, Haynes Total Healthcare Center, Terrell Farrow,
Terrell Farrow.
What did I say?
I'm not sure.
It was wrong.
Terrell Farrow.
Sorry about that, Terrell. We're sorry, man.
Is it? I don't even. Is it? It's Willie and Son Trucking.
Willie and Son Trucking.
Willie and Son Trucking, Glockner Chevrolet, Megan Carroll, Longhorn Steakhouse, Eat Steak, Ohio Health, Horizon, and Mark Connor.
Guys, it's been
boys.
fun.
This has been fun. It's been a fun 3 hours.
I think we might have to do this maybe more often for other sports.
Maybe so. More.
Oh yeah, thank you, Jacob Wise,
and
Corey Hall, and
Jacob Wise, Corey Hall, Eric Cox, and more importantly, thank you everyone, for tuning in and watching. We appreciate it very much. So.
Well, for those who don't know, before Brock said that, Jacob and Corey have done all the technical stuff for us tonight, and then Eric has made faces at me, and
he celebrated.
He celebrated a closing that he didn't know was happening.
That is true. He did.
I'm sure his daughters
learned some news tonight.
Real pumped.
But no, we were going to have to do this for more sports.
Yeah, and creep.
I think. And what is it?
Say?
Oh my gosh!
And what is it?
Creep.
What do you mean?
It's another TLC reference.
Oh, for goodness sake. I'm glad I don't get it now. Okay, Dewey, take us out. Take us out.
Once again, thank you for tuning in to tonight's show, Horizon Basketball Tournament Preview Show, brought to you by Ohio Health. We'll see you guys, and maybe we'll do another one of these.
See you in the future.
We'll see you later.